Chapter 248. Unable to satisfy Hauer, Sure is a child with a hard life. Her experience reminds me of your mother. That's why I've been secretly sending people to protect her. Otherwise, do you think that she has been targeting Tang Kuan for so many years? If there is no insider with this child's mediocre martial arts, how many lives can she survive? Tang Yu shook her head, looking at Tang Sure with doting eyes, as if she was looking at her granddaughter. I see. Qin Hao took a deep breath and nodded in understanding. Qin Hao, look at what it's holding in its mouth. At this time, Yuning Chang shrieked, pointing at the dog spirit's mouth. The dog spirit squatted beside Yuning Chang, scaring her so much that she didn't dare to move. After swallowing Old Man Ouyang's indecent object, the dog spirit's strength instantly increased. From the 5th rank, the Xian beast directly rose to the 8th rank. It had to be said that the object of a profound sage was extraordinarily powerful. The green light that enveloped the dog spirit flashed continuously. It simply blinded Yun Yingchang's beautiful eyes. She wasn't afraid of the dog spirit. After all, the 8th rank Xian beast was as weak as an 8-star master. What made her feel incredulous was that this wild dog was comparable to an 8-star master. In the secular world, this was simply unheard of. No, it was a strange story. This dog spirit had flown out of Qin Hao's spatial ring. Woof, woof, roar. The dog spirit's realm stopped at the 8th rank. It obediently squatted in place, as if waiting for Qin Hao. Qin Hao turned his head. Sumeru pouch. The thing in the dog spirit's mouth was the spatial artifact, Sumeru pouch. Qin Hao had just sent one away, and in the blink of an eye, another one had returned? Could it be Old Man Ouyang's? Qin Hao and Yuning Chang looked at each other. Roar! Yuning Chang was dumbfounded and didn't answer, but the dog spirit nodded. This scene simply made everyone have the impulse to faint. Not only did the dog spirit swallow the profound sage's family jewels, it also took the profound sage's Sumeru pouch. Who did he learn this from? Gulp! Qin Hao swallowed his saliva. The spatial pouch of a 5-star profound sage. Who knew what kind of valuable things were stored inside? Immediately, he took it out of the dog spirit's mouth and patted its head. Good boy! After that, Qin Hao put the dog back into the interspatial ring. Everyone, do whatever you want. Just pretend you didn't see it. Qin Hao also threw Old Man Ouyang's Sumeru pouch into his interspatial ring as if nothing had happened. Yuning Chang pursed her lips. How stingy! Then, he asked anxiously, Is your injury okay? Injured? Where is my grandson injured? Quick, let grandfather have a look. Tang Yu's heart was burning with anxiety when she heard this. Quick, let Grandpa Drunkard take a look. Rank 10 mentality, how can he be injured? Quick, let me have a look. You are Uncle Xian's only disciple. You can't be injured at all. Drunkard and Chun Kang immediately said anxiously. Qin Hao was now very precious. No, how could I be injured? Qin Hao casually waved his hand, indicating that he was fine. However, when he waved his hand, it seemed very unnatural. Tang Sure rushed over and ran behind Qin Hao. With a swish, she tore off Qin Hao's clothes. Suddenly, a huge bloody wound appeared on Qin Hao's back. The wound wasn't deep, but it was very large. The skin was cracked, and everyone could even see the flesh wriggling. It was obvious that Qin Hao was using his vitality to suppress the injury, but he still acted as if nothing had happened. You're a girl, why are you tearing off people's clothes? Qin Hao glared at Tang Sure and quickly pulled up his clothes. Still pretending, I saw it all. Just now when the two of you clasped your hands together and the fireball exploded, you used your back to block in front of Elder Yun. When you landed on the ground, you used your body to protect her. Tang Shure's eyes were a little red. Qin Hao was too good to Yuning Chang. Not only did he block the aftermath of the explosion, but he also let her body collide with the ground when she rolled. Yuning Chang didn't even lose a strand of hair. Qin Hao alone bore the blame of two people. Don't talk nonsense, Qin Hao muttered. If it wasn't for Yun Ing Chang risking her life to protect him, Qin Hao would have been killed by old man Ouyang long ago. This little flesh wound was nothing. I have a bottle of jade skin ointment here. It's a rank 3 elixir pill. I'll give it to you. Yuning Chang was very touched. She never thought that Qin Hao was such a meticulous and considerate person. Her small hand wiped the sumaru pouch at her waist and took out a bottle of medicine and handed it to Qin Hao. There were gasps all around, and their eyes were filled with envy. Qin Hao hadn't even stepped through the door of Qiyang University, and the elder personally gave him a bottle of third-grade pills. It had to be said that Yuning Chang was worthy of being an elder of Qiyang University. She casually gave him a pill of third grade. Jiang country didn't even have a third-grade alchemist, and everyone could see that this bottle of jade muscle ointment was definitely expensive. Thank you, Sister Yun. Qin Hao didn't pretend to be pretentious and handed the medicine to Tang Shirshir. Tang Shirshir began to apply it on Qin Hao's back with tacit understanding. She was very sensible. You brat, you really know how to pick the right time to build a relationship. A cold snort was heard, and it was filled with jealousy. Su Tianlei walked over. Qin Hao kicked his nose and went up to his face, calling her Sister Yun. Yuning Chang was an elder of the outer court, and it was very likely that she would be promoted to the inner court in the future. If a little disciple became her younger brother, then he would have a meteoric rise in the future. It's okay. If you didn't help me, I wouldn't have been able to beat Ouyang Wusan. Yuning Chang was actually a little shy, and even her cheeks were flushed. Just now, Qin Hao forcefully hugged her waist and even held her hand. Their fingers interlocked, forming a concentric knot. This action was no different from a couple's. How can you think like that? I'm a teacher. Qin Hao is a student. How can I have a relationship with him? This is simply too shameful. Yuning Chang couldn't help but blush even more. She was so red that she didn't dare to raise her head, and her pair of jade hands restlessly pulled up her skirt. This scene was quite awkward. Cough cough. Sister Yun, let's talk about something serious. Didn't you say that you would satisfy me? My request. No, I can't satisfy your request. Without waiting for Qin Hao to finish his words, Yuning Chang shook her head again and again. She clearly remembered that Qin Hao had said, I want you, let me finish. At that time I was interrupted. Actually, I wanted to say that I want you to help me save someone. Qin Hao was also speechless. Then, he told Yun Ing Chang about Dan Xian's condition and the treatment method. Qin Hao didn't have any wishes as long as Dan Xian woke up. Yun Ing Chang's face was extremely bitter. Normally, saving someone was just a small matter. After all, Yun Ing Chang was a 3-star profound sage. But if it was Dan Xian, she was really helpless. Kid, even you said that your first teacher has old injuries, and we don't know how deep his injuries are. Right now, he only has a weak breath left, and he can die at any time. Kid, aren't you afraid of biting your tongue when you talk big? Do you think you can invite the king-level experts of the Luoshui Empire? For us, they are all high and mighty existences. Chapter 249. Flying to the future. It's hard to find a king-level expert, but it's even harder to find a king-level alchemist. Only an emperor-level expert like the Emperor of Luoshui has the ability to find a king-level alchemist. Unfortunately, you don't even have the qualifications to enter the imperial palace, let alone meet the Emperor of Luoshui. Or perhaps there might be a king-level alchemist in Dango. If you become an important member of Dango, such as the Great Elder's Pill disciple, congratulations, you'll be able to save your first teacher. Unfortunately, you don't even deserve to carry the Great Elder's boots. I'm ashamed to say that the highest level alchemist in Qiangbin is only a 4th grade profound Saint Master. You actually want us to help you find a king-level alchemist to save your worthless, smelly old master. Why don't you take a piss and look at your own face? Although Su Tianlei's words were impolite. However, it made everyone suck in a cold breath. A king-level alchemist was actually so precious. In the entire Western Liang, only an emperor-level expert was qualified to know him. Even Qiangbin was out of reach. Qin Hao was really overestimating himself. At this moment, Chen Kang and the drunkard were full of frustration. Difficult. Too difficult. I won't give up. If I can't find him, I will become a king-level alchemist myself. No matter how difficult it is, I must save my master. Qin Hao clenched his fists and used his strength to motivate himself. As long as there was enough time, he would definitely be able to step back into the position of a senior alchemist. Save it, you little piece of trash. Get your facts straight, you're just an outer sect disciple. Su Tianlei felt that Qin Hao was really crazy. If he wanted to become a king-level alchemist, he would never be able to do it in his lifetime. Elder Su, pay attention to your attitude. Yuningshang put on a stern face and shouted. No matter what, Qin Hao was now a disciple of Qiangbin. It's fine if you can't help him, but why do you have to be so sarcastic and crush his confidence? Don't be too disappointed. Although we can't help you, we might have the herbs you mentioned. What Yuningshang said next made Qin Hao's heart tremble. Suddenly, a glimmer of hope lit up in his heart. Are you serious? Qin Hao said excitedly. Yes. Yuningshang nodded. In the mountains behind Qiangbin, there is a medicinal valley that is open to the students of the academy once every 3 years. Looking at the time, it should be open in another year. Yuningshang briefly explained that the Medicine Valley belonged to the Luoshui Empire and was owned by the 4 great academies. However, Medicine Valley was the closest to Qiangbin. Therefore, Qiangbin was the one in charge. It was not easy to enter the Medicine Valley. Only the top 10 disciples of the 4 great academies would have the opportunity to enter once every 3 years. Moreover, it was not the top 10 of the outer yard. It was the top 10 of the entire academy, which included the inner yard and inner yard disciples. In other words, if Qin Hao wanted to enter the Medicine Valley, he had to fight with the powerful inner yard disciples and the core disciples with his weak strength. Even if he got the weakest ranking, he would only be qualified to enter. The Medicine Valley was very dangerous. Even the elders did not dare to step in easily. Being able to enter was one thing, but being able to come out was another. Therefore, when the Medicine Valley opened, the 4 great academies would take the opportunity to compete. Each academy would send in 10 of their strongest disciples to search for precious herbs. Whoever found more herbs would be more precious, and if they could come back alive, they would undoubtedly receive generous rewards from the 4 great academies. It's too dangerous. There's only a year's time. Our Hao is just a new disciple. He definitely can't participate. Chen Kang made a prompt decision to stop Qin Hao from participating. That's right. Silly boy, don't be rash. Kang and I can still hold on. As long as we don't die, old man Dan Xian won't die. We can wait 8 years for you. The drunkard said. Even the elders of the 4 great academies did not dare to step into the Medicine Valley. How could Qin Hao, a mere master yuan, go to such a dangerous place? Yuningshang was so strong, but she was only an outer elder of Qiangbin. It was too dangerous. If it can shorten the time to save my master, I'm willing to take the risk no matter how big it is. I don't want him to stay in that cold ice. I want to hear him laugh and see him refine pills. Qin Hao said with tears in his eyes. Without Dan Xian, there would be no Qin Hao today. Even if Dan Xian had never really helped Qin Hao in any real sense, but at the important moment of the 4-nation competition, he was willing to sacrifice his life. That was enough. Sigh. Yuningshang let out a sigh. The world was heartless. The strong preyed on the weak. What was the use of being hot-blooded? In the end, words could not do anything. Everything had to be done with strength. Judging from the current situation, there was an 80% chance that Qin Hao would not be able to enter the Medicine Valley. However, his friendship with Dan Xian made Yun Yingchang deeply moved. At this moment, Yun Yingchang even felt lucky. Lucky that Qiangbin had accepted Qin Hao. Not Wang Gui. In order to survive, Wang Gui could even abandon his father and brothers. The Guihai sect had nurtured him for so many years, but they abandoned him just like that. On the other hand, Qin Hao could ignore everything for his master. This kind of true love was truly rare. It's getting late. Senior Sister Yun, we should be on our way. Su Tianlei raised his head and looked at the sky. Qin Hao was not the only disciple in Qiyang University's assessment. The other arenas should also be over. This kind of assessment was only the beginning. Next, there were even stronger challenges waiting for Qin Hao. Therefore, they did not have time to waste. Yun Yingchang nodded. She raised her hand and a dazzling light appeared from the sumaru pouch at her waist. Then, a small boat emitting white light appeared in front of everyone. The boat was not big. It was like a small boat, sparkling and translucent like jade. However, no one dared to look down on this boat, because it was a personal artifact that the 4 great academies enjoyed. See piercing light shuttle. Qin Hao's eyes tightened as he thought in his heart. Of course, he recognized this boat. It could soar in the sky and its speed was extremely fast. It was not much slower than the flying speed of a magical beast. Immediately, Qin Hao shook his head. For something like this, 600 years ago, it was not enough for him to take a look. Qin Hao's flying artifact was the Dragon Emperor battleship. It could soar into the sky and roam in the void. Not only was the Dragon Emperor battleship fast, it was also equipped with powerful crystal cannons. It was no exaggeration to say that one cannon could destroy the entire Jiang country. Now that he saw a mere sea-piercing light shuttle, he was actually excited. How embarrassing! At this time, Yun Yingchang and Su Tianlei had already stepped into the small boat. They raised their hands and beckoned Qin Hao to board the boat. "Young master, wait!" Just as Qin Hao was about to leave, Haidafu ran up and grabbed Qin Hao's hand tightly. "Young master, what about our state of Qin?" "State of Qin? What state of Qin?" Oh, I forgot. You mean those 20 cities? Chapter 250. A Blessing or a Curse. That's right. If you leave, the people of the Qin state will miss you. You should ascend to the throne first, set a reign name, and then choose 8 or 10 concubines at the last minute. After that, you should have sex with them and give birth to a dragon child. Otherwise, if you die, you won't even have a successor. Furthermore, how will the civil and military officials be chosen? When will the imperial examinations be held? How does the etiquette of the state of Qin determine? Which sect will the orthodoxy choose? Hai Feizi was also talking nonstop, his saliva flying all over the place. The more Qin Hao listened, the more his scalp tingled. He understood what Hai Feizi was saying. In fact, Qin Hao had experienced it in his previous life. However, at that time, it was handed over to one of the 4 disciples, Xinu, to handle. On the surface, Qin Hao was the emperor of Daqin in the East Continent. But in fact, he was only responsible for refining pills and fighting. Now that Hai Feizi had asked him to do it all over again, Qin Hao felt that his head was about to explode. No. I don't want to raise pigs. I don't need 8 or 10 temporary concubines. Moreover, we don't want the 20 cities. Qin Hao waved his hand repeatedly. What did you say? How could he not want it? As the emperor of the Qin state, you have tens of millions of people. You can't abandon them. Moreover, how much would the taxes of 20 cities cost? It's enough to support us for more than 10 days. Hai Dafu said anxiously. Take these 20 cities and exchange them with Jiangwang. Exchange them for the 6 most prosperous cities in the south of Jiang country, including the Heaven's Wall city. Moreover, we don't have a country name. Change the state of Qin to Daqin Prefecture. As for the state religion, it was naturally Fengli Temple. Let's do it this way. I'm leaving. After Qin Hao finished speaking, he turned around and left. Why? Hai Feizi asked foolishly. Loss. What a huge loss. 20 cities in exchange for 6 of the Jiang country. It was a loss in itself. Moreover, the cities of the Tianwu kingdom were already bigger than the Jiang kingdom. Exchanging a big city for a small one was even more of a loss. What a huge loss. Not at all. You'll understand in the future. Qin Hao smiled and stepped into the boat with one foot. Alas. Hai Feizi sighed heavily, then stepped forward and grabbed Qin Hao's arm. Since that's the case, we will do as young master says. You take this is my waist token. All the people of the Hai Family Chamber of Commerce are at young master's disposal. Also, you can use this token to attend all the meetings of the Business Alliance and visit all kinds of high-end entertainment places, such as brothels, restaurants, casinos, and auctions. As long as it's a place of eating, drinking, and having fun, you'll be a golden customer. You don't have to pay for anything you eat or play. It's all on my tab. Hiss. Gasps could be heard all around. In an instant, all eyes were fixed on the golden waist tag in Qin Hao's hand. Jealousy. Envy. He was so envious that he was about to die, all right? Hai Feizi was an important member of the Luoshui Business Alliance. This was his privilege. But now, it had all become Qin Hao's. In fact, Hai Feizi had many businesses in the Luoshui Empire, covering all the major cities. With the waist token in hand, Qin Hao would have less trouble. At least he wouldn't be short of money. I don't have to pay for eating, drinking, and playing? Is there such a good thing? Then I won't hold back. Qin Hao also put the waist token into his spatial ring. He gave Hai Feizi a look that said, "You're not bad, I have high hopes for you. Do you still have this kind of waist token? Why don't you give me one?" Seeing this, Su Tianlei quickly jumped down from the boat and held on to Hai Dafu's hand with tears in his eyes. Hai Dafu's position in the Luoshui Empire was indeed very high. Get lost. Hai Dafu didn't give Su Tianlei any face. He swung his sleeve and flung him away. He raised his head and strode towards Jiang Huang. He was ready to talk business with Jiang Huang. Although 20 cities in exchange for 6 cities was obviously a loss. However, Hai Feizi was a businessman. He wouldn't do anything without benefit. He had 108 ways to trick Jiang Huang until he lost everything. Qin Hao shook his head and smiled, then stepped into the boat. However, you have to take care. Chen Kang couldn't bear to part with him. Kid, don't be impulsive. Some things should be done if you can, but if you can't, don't force it. I've said it before, we can wait for you for 8 years. The drunkard warned cautiously, afraid that Qin Hao would challenge the Medicine Valley. Pervert, I'll miss you. In the future, will you come back to a small place like ours? At this moment, Tang Shishi's tears fell uncontrollably. She didn't spend much time with Qin Hao, but they knew each other the earliest. It could be said that every time they met, either he was in danger or she was saved by Qin Hao. It could be said that they had gone through thick and thin together. Yes, I'll come back. I'll watch you revive the Tang residence and make it stronger. Qin Hao was like an elder brother, encouraging Tang Shishi, even though he was younger than the other party. Then, Qin Hao had an idea. His space ring flashed and he took out 2 sumaru pouches. He tossed them to the drunkard and Chen Kang. Uncle Kang, old man Jiu, take them. Chen Kang's sumaru pouch had been given to Chen Wanqin. The drunkard's sumaru pouch had been taken by Xiaogua. As the sect leader of the Fengli Temple and the sect leader of the Heavenly Fist sect, how could he not have a sumaru pouch? In fact, Qin Hao did have 3 sumaru pouches with him. One was from the old demon of the Black Mountain, and one was from Long Outyan. The last one was torn from Old Man Ouyang's body by the dog spirit. Of course, the things inside had been moved away by Qin Hao. It was not that he was stingy. It was just that it was not safe to leave some precious things with Chen Kang and the drunkard. It would lead to a fatal disaster. Not to mention Tang Shirshir. However, Qin Hao did leave a small gift in Tang Shirshir's sumaru pouch. Receiving the sumaru pouch, Chen Kang and the drunkard were touched and beaming with joy. To be a sect master, one must have the appearance of a sect master. Such a high-end toy was absolutely indispensable. Having a junior like Qin Hao was really too fortunate. Take care. It will take at most 6 years, but at least 3 years. I will break the one-life coexistence spell between you and my master in exchange for your freedom. After saying that, Qin Hao sat cross-legged in the small boat. Buzz! A dazzling brilliance flashed in front of everyone's eyes. The small boat slowly rose vertically into the sky, then turned into a white light and disappeared into the sky. Kid, it doesn't matter if you can't save old man Dan Xian. You have to work hard. As long as you have a promising future, we will be satisfied. However, help me take care of Wanqin. Pervert, I will be waiting for you in the inconspicuous heavens wall city. If you are tired one day, come back and rest. My good grandson, I've seen everything you've done. I'm proud of you. I will try my best to live for 2 more years and wait for you to bring greater glory. The people below looked in the direction where Qin Hao had left and did not leave for a long time. However, the ministers of the various countries were relieved and patted their chests. Qin Hao had finally left. Okay, it's settled. The 6 southern cities of Jiang Country will be changed to Daqin Prefecture from now on. They will have nothing to do with Jiang Country, ha. At this time, Jiang Wang and Hai Dafu had finished their business discussion. Qin Hao was simply an idiot. Exchanging 20 large cities for 6 small cities, Xiao Chen thought to himself. Jiang Country was going to be rich. Its territory had doubled, and it had become the most powerful country among the 4 countries. He idiot? I don't know who is more idiotic in your eyes. Haidafu sneered. He called out to 6th brother and disappeared from the arena. At this moment, he seemed to have understood Qin Hao's intention. The 20 cities might not be a cake that fell from the sky, but a disaster that fell from the sky. At this moment, the emperors of the other 3 countries were staring at Jiang Wang with bloodshot eyes. Chapter 251. Chapter 251, The 3 Mysteries of Luo Shui. Luo Shui was vast and boundless. In the land of Western Liang, the Luo Shui Empire was not the only one. Western Wei and Western Zhao were among them. The tripartite balance kept each other in check. The Luo Shui Empire was located slightly to the north. Its south was connected to the ocean, and its north was connected to the land of the northern frontier. In the empire, there were many mountains and rivers, mainly water. Rivers and lakes crisscrossed each other, and it was not an exaggeration to say that it was a water country. Therefore, the people of the Luo Shui Empire were famous for their water attribute cultivation methods and were famous for their many beautiful women. In the Luo Shui Empire, there were 3 unsolved mysteries that no one knew about. One of them was in Qiangbin. Just as Ouyang Wusan had said, Qiangbin did not have a director. It wasn't that they didn't exist, but that they were missing. If he was alive, he was nowhere to be seen, and if he was dead, his corpse was nowhere to be found. The president of Qiyang University was a woman in her 60s. She was known as Grandma's Manthus. His strength was originally monstrous, but he suddenly disappeared 20 years ago. If it weren't for the fact that they couldn't find her body, Qiyang University would have been eliminated from the 4 major schools, and Qiyang University wouldn't even have the chance to supervise the Medicine Valley. So, was Granny Gui Hua alive or dead? It had always been an unsolved mystery. Another secret had been passed down to Dan Gu. This generation's pavilion master Dan Gu was very mysterious. He had never shown his face, and he didn't even know if it was a man or a woman. However, his alchemy skills were at the peak of perfection, and he dominated the entire Western Liang. Unfortunately, even the Luo Shui Emperor, Emperor Wei, and Emperor Zhao did not have the fortune to see him. As for the last unsolved mystery, it was the most widely circulated among the people and became the laughingstock of the entire Luo Shui Empire. It was rumored that Luo Shui had great ambitions. His surname was Yi and his name was Longyuan. He had 28 princesses. He was so old that he didn't even have a son. Luo Shui was so big yet no one could inherit it. However, some people guessed. In fact, Yi Longyuan had a son. He had a son with a common woman when he was young. He was afraid that the scandal would spread, so he refused to acknowledge his son. In the end, she was punished by the heavens and gave birth to 28 princesses in a row. These 3 mysteries had puzzled countless young talents and explorers of the Luo Shui Empire. Was Granny Gui Hua dead or alive? Was Danji's owner a woman or a man? Did Yi Longyuan have a son or not? No one knew about it. However, with the arrival of Qin Hao, these 3 secrets were all exposed. High up in the sky, a small boat flew through the clouds like a stream of light, heading straight for the imperial city of Luo Shui. On the small boat, Qin Hao sat at the front with his eyes closed and his legs crossed. Beside him stood Yun Yingchang in a white dress. Su Tianlei muttered to himself, with a face full of dissatisfaction. He squatted at the stern of the boat. Originally, he wanted to stand at the front with Yun Yingchang, but he was glared at by Yun Yingchang. He was an elder of Qiangbin, but he was also aggrieved to the extreme. His treatment was not as good as Qin Hao's. At this moment, Qin Hao was still thinking about the 20 cities. 20 big cities were indeed very tempting. Unfortunately, they originally belonged to the brave warring states, Beiwu Empire and Fengyue Empire. Qin Hao did not know any of the soldiers and generals stationed there, so it was difficult to control them. Naturally, if Qin Hao accepted the 20 cities, the soldiers and generals would definitely be taken away by the 3 emperors. At that time, the 20 cities would lose their defense and be like decorations. They would be like empty cities, collapsing with a single blow. On the other hand, the 6 southern cities of Jiang Empire were Qin Hao's hometown. Haidafu and Qi-Daxiong's homes were also there. Fengli Temple had always been famous in the south. The other 5 cities, with Heaven's Wall City as the main city, could be said to be deeply rooted. Instead of taking 20 empty cities, it was better to take these 6 small cities that were as united as iron block. Establishing Daqin Prefecture is the first step in cultivating a warlord. Just wait, Han Lingxian and Zhan Wu. Within 20 years, I will lead my troops to the east, conquer the Dongzhou continent, and take back my Daqin. Qin Hao secretly clenched his fists. He took a deep breath and dispersed the thoughts in his mind. The process was difficult and slow. First, he had to save Danxian, then go to Beijiang to find Shaohan. Qin Hao did not have time to waste. Fortunately, he had won the championship of the 4 countries this time and could meet up with Guadi and Xiao Wan in Luo Shui Imperial City. And this time, Qin Hao still had 2 important things to do. One was to go to Dangu to find Mu Chunfeng and kill him to avenge Dan Xian. The other was to collect the tranquil water. The tranquil water was one of the elements that formed the 9 heavens gods' punishment array. Its ferocious lethality was comparable to the red lotus fire. The tranquil water was lost near the imperial city of the Luo Shui Empire. Before I have enough strength, I can't act rashly. First, I have to establish a foothold in Qiyang University. Qin Hao deeply understood. Whether it was taking revenge on Mu Chunfeng or collecting the tranquil water, he needed more strength. Right now, he had to establish a foothold in Qiangbin. Another day passed. They finally arrived at Luo Shui Empire. As far as the eye could see, The blue sky and white clouds floated. Below them was an endless stretch of ancient forests and rivers. It was a spectacular sight. However, Yuning Chang did not drive the boat to the headquarters of Qiyang University. Instead, she slowed down in advance. "Qin Hao, you have been recuperating for a day and a night. How is your recovery?" Yuning Chang asked with a trace of concern. "I'm in good spirits." Qin Hao opened his eyes, stood up, and smiled faintly. "That's good." Yuning Chang nodded and pointed below. "Look over there. That is the place where the disciples that our college recruited this year are gathered." Qin Hao looked into the distance and saw a small platform in the middle of an endless forest. The platform was filled with figures. Moreover, as rays of light flew over the platform, more and more figures appeared on the platform. Qin Hao knew that the people standing on the platform must have been brought over by the other elders of Qiangbin from other arenas. It was as if Yuning Chang had brought him over. "Are they still going to fight?" Qin Hao vaguely guessed something. It was definitely not that easy to enter Qiangbin. "You're right. The Luoshui Empire is in charge of tens of thousands of small countries. In our eyes, the Four Nations martial arts tournament is just a qualifier. Only by passing this last assessment can you become a true disciple of our Qiangbin, but only an outer disciple. If you can't pass, you will be sent back immediately." Behind him, Su Tianlei's indifferent words came over. How could it be so easy to become a disciple of Qiangbin? Qin Hao couldn't help but frown. If he couldn't pass the assessment, he would be sent back? Completely back to his original form? After spending so much effort to participate in the competition, if he was sent back to Fengli Temple, it would be a complete loss of face. This meant that Qiangbin didn't want him. "I won't fail." Qin Hao's fighting spirit immediately burned. "Don't talk so fast. None of the people standing on the platform are weaker than you. They are all the champions of the Four Nations martial arts tournament and have swept all the way here. Of course, in the eyes of our Qiangbin, you are just SOSO. On that platform, in addition to the champions from the small border countries, there are also the local geniuses of our Luoshui Empire, whose grade is higher than yours. If you want to kill your way out of this group of geniuses, I advise you to give up on that idea, lest you lose your life." Chapter 252. Who is the genius among the geniuses? With your ability, it won't be hard for you to pass the test. I have confidence in you. Yuning Chang encouraged. Qin Hao's mental power has reached the 10th grade. Even if he is not the only one in the outer courtyard, he is still a rarity. At least in the outer courtyard, Yuning Chang did not find anyone whose mental power is stronger than Qin Hao. According to the previous standards, Qin Hao should have been sent directly to the outer courtyard without the need for the final test. However, in recent years, the quality of Qiangbin's disciples has declined and the tests have become stricter. The meaning of the higher-ups is clear. Disciples seek quality and not quantity. Yuning Chang does not have the ability to open the back door for Qin Hao. Taking out a jade tablet from her sumru pouch, Yuning Chang gave it to Qin Hao. "This is my outer courtyard elder's jade tablet. It can bring you some convenience. After entering the outer courtyard, remember to find me at White Cloud Peak." This scene caused Su Tianlei to stare at it. White Cloud Peak is Yun Ingchang's private territory. Not to mention the disciples, even the other elders do not dare to step into it. Even the vice principal who wants to see Yun Ingchang has to beg at the foot of the mountain. What ability does Qin Hao have to make the beautiful Yun Ingchang favor him? "Thank you, Sister Yun." Qin Hao did not stand on ceremony and accepted the jade tablet. "Go. After you go down, there will be an enforcement elder who will tell you what to do." With a faint smile, Yuning Chang swept out a stream of energy and sent Qin Hao down to the platform below. She then steered the small boat and disappeared into the sky. There was only so much she could do. The rest is up to Qin Hao himself. Have you figured it out? I am the champion of the 4 countries, the son of the Gale sex leader. What is the point of leaving a genius like me in the wilderness? I am the Prince of Chuan Sui. To actually participate in the test with these lowly commoners, it is an insult to my status. What is Chuan Sui? I am the son of Lu Shangshu of Luoshui's imperial city. Don't I still have to pass the final test? So you are the son of Shangshu Lu. Young Master Lu, I have admired you for a long time. I wonder if I can have the honor of being your follower. On the platform it was noisy and noisy. Judging from the way they dressed, they all had different identities. These geniuses from various countries, and even Luo Shui, were very dissatisfied with the last test. In their eyes, they were all top-notch talent. Why would they need to test their grandpa? Taking advantage of this opportunity, some people began to form factions. Some of the weaker ones began to look for backers for themselves. Only by following this expert would there be meat to eat. Naturally, Qin Hao was dressed in ordinary clothes and did not catch anyone's attention. Thus, he was shunned to the side. He secretly sized up the people on the platform. Their strength was not weak. Even the weakest of them was at the level of a 7-star master. The stronger ones had reached the pinnacle of the 9-star Yuan Master realm. In fact, a few of them had the strength of a Yuan Master realm master. It seemed that this was really a gathering of geniuses. Qiangbin was indeed extraordinary. Whoa, 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 the neck sings to the sky. White hair floats in the water. Feet move. He was stunned. A limerick was heard. Qin Hao glanced sideways and saw Playboy in a luxurious suit with a golden ribbon around his waist. Qin Hao could not see through Playboy's strength. Although he could not see through him, he could tell from his behavior. This was a huge piece of trash, a complete hedonistic son of a rich family. That was because Playboy's eyes never left the beautiful female disciples on the platform. Moreover, he was licking his lips. It was extremely wretched. Surprisingly, there was a page beside Playboy. Qin Hao could not help but feel puzzled. What the hell was Qiyang University doing? Did it accept just anyone? It was already surprising that they accepted a good-for-nothing rich kid. Now, there was a page beside him. Qin Hao was almost certain that this guy had relied on connections to get here. Welcome to the garbage collection station. That's right, I'm the law enforcement elder of this platform. My ancestors, I feel extremely disgusted after seeing all of you. You're all trash, you're all trash. You don't even have the strength to truss a chicken. Welcome to the garbage collection station. I hope your performance will not disappoint me. After all, this is platform number 3. Accompanied by the discussion, an old man Huang in a yellow robe walked up to the platform and pointed at the noses of the geniuses. His words were like a violent bomb, immediately causing dissatisfaction among the geniuses of the various countries. We're trash? We're good-for-nothings? We're delicate little girls? This is a garbage collection station? Damn it, we've killed our way here. We're all geniuses of the various countries. In fact, Qin Hao was also a little dissatisfied at this moment. However, in the eyes of this old man, perhaps the geniuses of the various countries on the platform were indeed trash. That was because this old man Huang was a sage-level expert. When he spoke, his body emitted orange primordial qi. It was also because of this that the geniuses of the various countries did not directly make a move. I guess the elders who brought you here must have said it, right? This forest was the final examination venue of the Scarlet Sun Martial Institution. Those who pass will become our disciples. Those who fail will be sent back immediately. As for those who are not sent back, they most likely died in the forest. The old man continued, stroking his beard. Then, this old man will give you one last chance to live. Does anyone choose to scram? If there is, stand up immediately and go back to your country to continue being a good-for-nothing. You've gone too far. You're looking down on us. You want to scare us away with just one sentence? How is that possible? There was a lot of anger on the platform. These disciples were all geniuses in their own sect or country. Naturally, they were proud and arrogant. Their dream was to enter Qiangbin. It was absolutely impossible for them to quit. Oh, you're quite stubborn. I hope you can continue to be stubborn. Since no one wants to quit, our party is about to begin. Old man Huang's eyes flashed with excitement. He then explained the rules of the test and pointed to the forest behind him. This forest is called the Gates of Hell. Xian beast is densely packed inside. There are even demonic beasts that are comparable to Yuan Zong. Not to mention the miasma and poisonous swamp. At the end of the forest, there is a teleportation spiritual array that leads to the outer court of Qiangbin. What you have to do is to survive. No matter what method you use, as long as you can reach the teleportation spiritual array alive, someone will come and pick you up. Old man Huang's meaning was very clear. To avoid the pursuit of the Xian beast and demonic beasts and pass through the forest, they would pass. The prerequisite was that they had to survive. Staying alive was the only criterion. I'm afraid that's not all. Qin Hao sneered. If it was that simple, 90% of the geniuses on the platform would have passed. You're quite clever. That's right, it's far more than that. First, you have to touch the stone in front of me. Then, you will be divided into 9 levels. The stone will give you a comprehensive score based on your physique, cultivation, and cultivation technique. Generally speaking, you will start at level 1. If you're lucky, you might reach level 3 or 4. At this point, old man Huang waved his sleeve, and a strangely shaped stone appeared in front of him. It was extremely ugly, and its appearance was worlds apart from the soul-testing stone. The only similarity was that there was a groove on it. Then, everyone understood. As long as they put their hand in, the ugly stone would give them a score. At this moment, many people were eager to give it a try. After all, this was a good opportunity to show off. After all, no one here was useless. They were all geniuses. Chapter 253. The beginning of plunder. Your score will determine how you will be treated at Qiyang University. Old man Huang continued to explain. Level 3 to 5 disciples would become ordinary disciples. Grade 6 to grade 8, outstanding disciples. 9th level, core disciple. As for those above level 9, sorry, there was none. This was unprecedented. As for those below level 3, all of them had to scram. I'll send you back to your hometown and let you embarrass yourself. If you want to do better than others in the academy, get prettier chicks than others, and get more primeval stones, then work hard for the old man. Once you become a core disciple, then congratulations, it's extremely likely that you'll be guaranteed to enter the inner court. Old man Huang's words were extremely tempting. At this moment, many people became a little fanatical. Of course, the forest was also extremely dangerous. If they were not careful, they would be eaten by the Xian beast and other demonic beasts and become feces. Since that's the case, let me test it first. Shangshu Lu's son walked out. As he walked, he kept throwing flirtatious glances at the female disciples on the stage. Walking up to the ugly stone, Zhang Xian pressed his palm into it. Suddenly, rays of white light flew out from the ugly stone and gathered on the arm of Lu Shangshu's son. After the light dissipated, the word 1 appeared on his arm. Obviously, Lu Shangshu's son's cultivation level, cultivation method, and spiritual power were at the bottom of the pile in Qiyang University. F***ck, I must be blind to want to be his follower. How unlucky! The emperor of Chuan Sui country spat a mouthful of saliva and immediately changed from a lackey to a high and mighty appearance. Shangshu Lu's son was too useless. His potential was too low. Ha ha! How embarrassing! Hurry up and find a crotch to hide in. The son of Lu Shangshu of the Luoshui Empire? I am a genius from the Sure sect of the Lu Kingdom, a small country on the border. You are very lucky. I will allow you to be my lackey. One of the youths laughed. Taking in the son of the Luoshui Empire's Shangshu as a lackey was also a very honorable thing. How is that possible? I'm an 8-star master, and I'm cultivating a mystic tier cultivation technique. My spiritual energy is at the 7th rank. This Lu Shangshu's son was flustered. He felt that his future was bleak. Trash is trash, don't find excuses for yourself. Another man came to the front of the ugly rock and rudely pushed Shangshu Lu's son aside. Then, he reached his hand into the rock. Whoosh, whoosh. Countless white lights flew out again and gathered on the man's arm, forming the word 2. Immediately, this person's expression turned extremely ugly. His strength had reached the level of a 9-star Yuan master, and his spiritual power had reached the 7th grade. He was actually only at level 2. He didn't even have the qualifications to enter Qiangbin as an ordinary disciple. However, he heaved a sigh of relief. At least he was stronger than Shangshu Lu's son. At least he wasn't level 1. You smelly old man, are you playing with us? A 9-star Yuan master isn't even qualified to be an ordinary disciple. Qiyang University's examination is too difficult. I quit. That's right. According to this standard, who can pass? We have more than 500 people here. Do you want all of us to scram? Everyone cursed. What's all this noise about? Old man Huang roared. His eyes were sharp, and his voice was like thunder. When he roared, the entire place fell silent. Old man Huang hasn't finished speaking. I just said that this is only your initial level. It can be improved. The more Xian beast you kill in the forest, the more treasures you find, such as medicinal herbs or fruit. Then, your level will increase accordingly. Of course, there's actually a faster way to improve, and that's to steal other people's levels. That's quite fast. Once you steal someone's level 9 and become a core disciple, I don't think I need to explain the benefits. As soon as he said this, many people on the platform froze. Their expressions gradually changed, and they began to stare at the others with ill intentions. If any of you are tested to have a level 3 imprint, your level will immediately rise to level 3 after stealing his Yuan Qi. In short, the higher your level, the more enjoyable it will be to steal. Becoming an expert is not a dream. As long as you are brave enough and strong enough, you can be lawless and unscrupulous and risk your life for Old Man Huang. Old Man Huang's face was full of smiles, like an old fox tempting others to commit a crime. Qin Hao's eyes narrowed slightly. This kind of rule was simply encouraging the disciples to fight among themselves. Qiangbin's method of selecting disciples was extraordinarily ruthless. If everyone understands, then let's continue with the examination. Also, I've already told you that this platform is Platform 3. In addition, there are 4 other platforms that are also undergoing the level examination. When you enter the forest later, you will fight with the disciples from the other platforms. Now that I've seen you all like a bunch of cowards, Old Man Huang is thoroughly disappointed. I'm afraid that not a single outstanding disciple will appear on my Platform 3. Old Man Huang smiled sinisterly and shook his head. On the surface, he was sighing, but in reality, he was encouraging others to commit a crime. There were many gasps from the surroundings. The 500-plus contestants on Platform 3 were only a portion of Qiangbin's recruitment. There were 4 more platforms like this. In other words, there were more than 2,000 contestants who passed the 4-nation martial arts tournament today. I'm afraid that only a few of these 2,000 people will be able to enter Qiangbin. A strong young man only realized how insignificant he was at this moment. To think that he felt that he was a dragon among men in his country. He walked forward and placed his palm on the stone. Suddenly, white light converged on the strong young man's arm, leaving a 1 mark. He did not feel depressed because of this. Because most of the guys here were probably 1. Let me try. Me too. Let me try. Everyone started to test one after another. As expected, 80% of them were 1. Looking at the 1 mark on their arms, they shook their heads helplessly and even felt a little embarrassed. They were the champions of the 4-nation martial arts tournament, but in the end they were the worst 1. Buzz. Just as everyone was feeling helpless, a strong light burst out from the ugly stone and converged on the arm of a young man in black. It formed the 3 mark. F***ck, are you kidding me? 3. Many people looked at the young man in black in surprise. There was envy in their eyes, but there was also a trace of insidiousness. Obviously, someone had decided to snatch the young man's 3 mark. In response, the young man in black snorted coldly and raised his chin high. His face was full of arrogance, and then a ball of blue flame radiated from his body. The blue flame was the strength of a Sky Origin Grandmaster. The young man in black was only 18 or 19 years old, and his cultivation had reached the Sky Origin Grandmaster. This was undoubtedly a shocking explosion that blinded everyone's eyes. All of a sudden, those malicious gazes disappeared. They wanted to be Qi Yongbin's disciples, but they wanted to live even more. No one was stupid enough to run in front of a Sky Origin Grandmaster and snatch his mark. That was no different from courting death. I wonder how many marks will I get with my Emperor-grade mental strength and thousands of heaven advanced cultivation techniques? Chapter 254. Yishurhan. The test continued, and in less than a quarter of an hour, there were only a few people left. Qin Hao straightened his clothes and walked forward. In front of him was that shifty-eyed playboy. Playboy's eyes were not looking at the evaluation stone. Instead, he was staring at the buttocks of a female disciple who was being tested. As he looked, he clicked his tongue. Big and round, very plump. It must feel good to the touch. Presumably, in Playboy's heart, he was also evaluating the figures of all the female disciples. Hey, it's your turn. Qin Hao poked him with his arm. He didn't really want to remind him, but this guy affected Qin Hao's test. Cough cough. Ooh, my neck sings to the sky. Playboy muttered to himself and shook his head proudly. It was as if his poetic realm was very high. He walked in front of the stone and pressed his palm into it. Whoosh, whoosh. Several streaks of light flew over. Without any accident, a 1 character was branded onto Playboy's arm. What a disappointment! The young master felt that he had lost face. In front of old man Huang, he spat on the rock. This action frightened the other disciples. Playboy sure has guts. On the other hand, the old man Huang still had a smile on his face. He was not angry at all, which surprised everyone. They guessed that perhaps old man Huang thought that Playboy would die sooner or later, so he wasn't angry. After all, Playboy's strength was the weakest among all the contestants. However, Qin Hao didn't think so. Judging from old man Huang's behavior, he could tell that he had a fiery temper. Playboy insulted his stone like that. According to common sense, he would definitely jump up and beat him up. Now, not only was he not beaten up, he was even smiling apologetically. Obviously, he was afraid of the power behind Playboy. This is a guy with a background. His background is definitely not simple. Qin Hao nodded secretly. Playboy had used his connections to get in through the back door, so he would probably advance smoothly. Even if he couldn't make it through the forest, he would still become an outer court student of Qiyang University. This was the benefit of having connections. While thinking, Qin Hao pressed his hand into the groove. However, he didn't press it in directly. Instead, he stopped at the front. He was considering how much of his cultivation base and psychic power he should conceal. Otherwise, if something like 8 sections or 9 sections appeared on Qin Hao's arm, it would be impossible for him to escape. He would definitely become the target of everyone's pursuit. That would make many people jealous. Qin Hao's current cultivation was not the strongest among the contestants. When necessary, he had to keep a low profile. Nodding his head, Qin Hao used a secret technique to hide the heaven-class cultivation method that he had cultivated. His spiritual power was also shrunk to the 7th rank. This included the immortal reincarnation art. Why aren't you pressing in? Do you want to exit? Old man Huang asked when he saw Qin Hao hesitating. No, there's phlegm inside. How can I press it? Qin Hao said. Just now, the young master's phlegm had spat right into the groove. Old man Huang looked at Playboy with some resentment. He sighed and waved his hand. A ray of light rolled out the phlegm inside. It's gone now. Qin Hao nodded his head. Taking advantage of this time, he hid all his heaven-class cultivation methods and pressed his palm in. Even so, rays of white light flew over and imprinted the word 2 on Qin Hao's arm. After all, Qin Hao still had a few sets of Earth-class cultivation method. The Earth-class cultivation methods added a lot of points for him. Immediately, envious gazes were cast from all around. There weren't many disciples who could reach stage 2, and Qin Hao was one of them. Of course, this was done deliberately by Qin Hao. Although he didn't want to be in the limelight, he had to use his strength to tell others. I'm not to be trifled with. You're not bad. You're qualified to join my team. After Qin Hao finished the test, a rough voice sounded from behind. Qin Hao turned his head to look. It was a young man with a height of 1.8 meters and a rather sturdy body. The word 2 was also imprinted on the young man's arm. The other party's intention was obvious. He wanted to rope Qin Hao into the team. After entering the forest, it would be dangerous to fight alone without a partner. Not to mention passing the test to become a disciple of Qiangbin, even staying alive would be a problem. The forest was densely packed with Xian beasts. There were also beasts comparable to Yuanzong. Of course, the most dangerous ones were the competitors. In order to snatch others' imprints, killing was inevitable. Only when everyone was united could they snatch others' imprints and kill the Xian beasts to level up their imprint. Qin Hao realized that everyone on the platform had joined a team. There were Invincible 7, Carefree World Society, Must Win League, and Invincible Team. There were all kinds of them, and all of them were extremely coquettish. These teams had at least 5 or 6 people, and some had more than 30 people. Qin Hao's strength caught the eye of the rough young man, and he wanted to rope him into the team. The name of the rough young man's team was quite intimidating. It was called Wild Daddy Gang, and it was quite powerful. There were at least 20 people in it. Qin Hao nodded in agreement. This rough young man didn't look like a good person. After entering the forest, he would probably snatch the imprints of weak teams. Qin Hao only wanted to become a disciple of Qiangbin. He didn't care about joining a team. And you, I've also taken a liking to you. Join my Wild Daddy Gang. If you don't, The rough young man stared at the powerless Playboy and smiled. His gaze was fierce and threatening. If Playboy didn't listen, then the rough young man wouldn't mind crippling him right now. I'm willing, I'm very willing. I'm proud of Wild Daddy Gang, Wild Daddy Gang. Playboy nodded repeatedly, waving his arms and cheering wildly. Looking at him, he didn't seem to be worried about him at all. Qin Hao shook his head. Playboy was probably going to die soon. The rough young man chose Qin Hao because Qin Hao had enough strength. He pulled Playboy in just to be a scapegoat. If they encountered any danger, such as poisonous gas or swamps, he wouldn't hesitate to push Playboy in to test the toxicity of the swamp. This was what it meant to make the best use of everything. Qin Hao didn't feel that Playboy was pitiful. After all, this guy wasn't a good guy. Everyone, since we're united, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Yen Wanshan, the son of Dali's Rock Sect Master. You've all seen my strength, right? Peak 9-star Yuan Master. This is the reason why you're following me. Because I can protect you. The rough young man Yen Wanshan said. Brother Yan's strength is monstrous. I'm willing to follow you. I'm Mian Feifei, the Prince of Mian Country. I'm Ma Yun. This is my younger brother, Ma Huadeng. I'm Lu Qiangdong. Immediately, the members of Wild Daddy Gang started to introduce themselves. Jiang Country, Qin Hao. Qin Hao said lightly. I'm a native of Luo Shui. My surname is Yi, and my name is Shuihan. Greetings to all of you. I'm full of admiration for you. I hope all of you can take care of me. I'm not strong, but don't cheat me. Because if I die, it won't benefit anyone. Playboy cupped his fist and bowed in front of everyone. However, he didn't look at anyone. He was still looking at the buttocks of the other female disciples, praising them. Surname Yi? Luo Shui royal family. Oh my God! Chapter 255. Danger everywhere. Obviously, they did not expect that this seemingly sloppy and evil playboy was actually a member of the Luo Shui royal family. Especially Yan Wanshan, he almost knelt down. He actually had the idea of killing Playboy just now. Just the thought of it was horrifying. If Playboy lost a single hair, even if they chased him to the ends of the earth, the Luo Shui royal family would definitely skin Yan Wanshan alive and pull out his tendons. Moreover, even his father's rock sect would not be able to escape. Immediately, Yan Wanshui hurriedly put on a smiling face, nodding and bowing, trying to get close to Yi Shuihan. However, Yi Shuihan's following words caused Long Live Yan's rage to surge to the heavens. Everyone, don't be nervous. I'm not a member of the royal family. I'm from a declining Yi family. Although my family has declined, my ancestor was once a teacher of the royal family. Yi Shuihan chuckled. At this point, he raised his head and began to chant, "Oh, oh, oh, my neck sings to the sky. Mother ***, you scared me." So he's not a member of the Luo Shui royal family. He's from a declining small family. At his most glorious time, he was just a teacher. Compared to the Luo Shui royal family, he's worlds apart. For a moment, everyone spat and wiped the cold sweat on their faces. They were really scared just now. I thought you were Yi Longyuan's illegitimate son. Turns out you're just a piece of shit, Ba. Yan Wanshan's smiling face immediately became fierce. Moreover, a sinister laugh came from his throat. Yi Shuihan, the scapegoat, was definitely going to be. Faced with everyone's ridicule, Yi Shuihan was not angry. At least on the surface, he was not angry. However, Qin Hao noticed that when Yan Wanshan scolded Yi Shuihan for being Yi Longyuan's illegitimate son, Yi Shuihan clenched his fists and the corners of his eyes twitched. However, Yi Shuihan hid it very well and pretended to be very scared, so no one paid much attention to it. They only thought that Yi Shuihan was a coward. Alright, all of you follow behind me. Next, I'm going to show you my unique skill. I'm going to bring you all to show off and soar. Follow me. Yan Wanshan waved his hand and led everyone into the forest. I have to quickly upgrade my imprint. If necessary, I don't mind killing people. Young master, you have to work hard. Only by working hard can you take back everything that belongs to you. Only then can you know the secrets of your body. At this moment, Yi Shuihan's page boy ran over with a pleading look on his face, as well as deep encouragement. I know. Don't worry, little stool. Yi Shuihan patted the attendant on the shoulder, indicating for him to leave. For the last test in Qiangbin, the attendant wasn't qualified to follow. He could only go to Qiangbin in advance to wait for Yi Shuihan. However, once he stepped into the forest with Yi Shuihan's strength, it would be a problem for him to survive. Especially when he was following a group of fiendish demons. The attendant was very worried for Yi Shuihan. Young master, if possible, please be magnanimous and protect my young master. After this, you will be rewarded. Before the attendant left, he ran to Qin Hao's side and begged. He saw that on Qin Hao's arm, there was a level 2 imprint. Obviously, Qin Hao's strength was extraordinary. I don't need anyone to protect me. Especially, the protection of trash. Without waiting for Qin Hao to speak, Yi Shuihan glanced coldly at Qin Hao and then followed behind the group. The evils we bring upon ourselves are the hardest to bear, Qin Hao also muttered to himself. He couldn't be bothered with the scholar and chased after him. Sigh. The attendant shook his head and sighed. Young Master Yi was too stubborn. No matter when, he didn't want others to interfere in his affairs. In the forest, ancient giant trees soared into the sky. The dense branches and leaves covered the sky and the sun. The surroundings were filled with the smell of mold and dampness. From time to time, there would be earth-shattering roars from afar, accompanied by a monstrous aura of wild beasts. Moreover, with the invasion of the platform contestants, the already dangerous forest became even more dangerous. It was as if the ancient forest had been activated in an instant. The roars of wild beasts sounded from all directions, mixed with the screams of humans. The plundering competition had officially begun. Be careful. There must be some Xian beast hiding in the bushes. Be alert. Yan Wanshan's deep voice sounded. However, he didn't walk at the front. Instead, he hid in the crowd. Originally, with his strength as a peak 9-star master, he should be leading everyone. However, he didn't. A scream came from the front of the group. Immediately after, a large black python as thick as a person's waist darted out of the bushes at an extremely fast speed. The members of the Wild Daddy gang didn't even see it clearly. The black python's tail wrapped around the screaming disciple and quickly disappeared before everyone's eyes. Moreover, the black python even turned around and stuck out its tongue provocatively. The scene before them scared them so much that they didn't dare to take another step forward. They all stood rooted to the ground, their bodies trembling. The person who was swept away by the black light had the cultivation of a 7-star master. However, he didn't even have the slightest ability to resist. Everyone could clearly see that the black python had strangled his entire body to the point that all of his limbs were crushed. At this moment, everyone finally understood why Old Man Huang had called them trash and told them to scram. This forest was indeed not a place for humans to stay. It's too dangerous. That black python is an 8th-grade Xian beast. It's as strong as a 9-star master. This is just the beginning. Everyone swallowed their saliva at the same time and had the urge to retreat. What are you afraid of? You're all the champions of the 4 nations martial arts competition, geniuses among geniuses. We have so many people, and we could have surrounded it to death. What do you think you're doing? Have more confidence. Yan Wanshan roared. At the same time, his sumaru pouch flashed, and he took out a large axe and held it firmly in his hand. His words made everyone sober up a little. Indeed, no one here was mediocre. Just now, they hadn't been paying attention and had been ambushed by the black python. If they had reacted fast enough, they could have used their advantage in numbers to kill it and save their companions. Unfortunately, the champions were so scared that they didn't dare to move. How embarrassing! Brothers, take out your weapons. Amidst the roar, someone also took out a large saber from his sumaru pouch. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Over 20 people took out their weapons at the same time, not daring to be careless in the slightest. The group firmly tightened and moved forward again. Qin Hao noticed that almost all the members of the Wild Daddy gang had sumaru pouches, and the weapons in their hands were at least powerful. It seems that these geniuses aren't called geniuses for nothing. At the very least, they're very valuable. Qin Hao smiled faintly. These contestants were all champions of their respective countries. Before they came, they must have obtained the sumaru pouches of their sect leaders. If he robbed them, he might earn a considerable amount of money. Qin Hao couldn't help but be tempted. Hiss! Suddenly, a strange sound rang out. A huge spider descended from the sky, landing on everyone's heads from the top of the tree. At the same time, a huge net spat out and covered the sky. It was an 8th-grade hairy spider. Its 8 large legs were as sharp as spears, and its body was as round and fat as a 3-meter-long plate. Chapter 256. The strong have priority. Swish. Swish. Dozens of swords and sabers slashed out at the same time, and streaks of green sword shadows slashed toward the top of his head. Immediately, the net was torn to shreds. The average strength of these contestants was between 7 and 8-star Yuan masters. There were more than 20 of them. It was more than enough to deal with an 8th-grade Xian beast. The spider's IQ was also very high. When it saw that the spider web was broken and its sneak attack failed, it immediately chose to escape. A silk thread shot towards the top of the giant tree, and the huge body of the hairy spider rose vertically. Its speed was incomparably fast. Where do you think you're going? When Yan Wanshan saw this, he leaped forward and unleashed the power of a 9-star Yuan master. He chopped at the thread with his axe and severed it. The hairy spider let out a panicked cry and fell straight down. The moment he fell, he welcomed the tragedy of his life. More than 20 contestants each held a sharp weapon in their hand. Amidst the chaotic swords, they directly chopped the hairy spider into minced meat. It had to be said that the more people there were, the greater the strength. Under normal circumstances, 1 or 2 people would definitely not be a match for the hairy spider. Did you see that? I've already told you that these Xian beasts are just a little sinister. They only know how to sneak attack. As long as we stay alert and rely on our advantage in numbers, we'll be able to upgrade our imprints very quickly. Yan Wanshan reprimanded. His hand was not slow either. He aimed his arm at the spider's body on the ground. Suddenly, a white light flew out from the minced meat and entered the mark on Yan Wanshan's arm. This white light was the soul of the Xian beast. The mark on Yan Wanshan's arm flashed with light. After the light dissipated, in the middle of his 2 mark, there was an extra 3. Ha ha! My mark has leveled up. I'm now an ordinary disciple of Qiangbin. This is awesome. Yan Wanshan raised his head and laughed, extremely proud of himself. At the very least, he was now qualified to become a student of Qiyang University. The prerequisite was that he had to be able to leave alive. Boss Yan is so cool. As expected of the leader of our wild daddy gang. When will Elder Yen find us a clan leader's wife? Haha, everyone was amused. Even though there was some unwillingness in his eyes, Yan Wanshan had absorbed the soul of the furred spider. However, everyone knew that the strong were respected, and the strong had priority. Only when Yan Wanshan was satisfied would others have the opportunity to absorb the beast soul and upgrade their imprints. He's just taking advantage of everyone. Yi Shuihan despised Yan Wanshan's style. When they were in danger, they would hide in a crowd. When there were benefits, he would be the first to jump out. Yan Wanshan was actually a petty person. What did you say? Yan Wanshan stared at Yi Shuihan. I said that Boss Yan is awe-inspiring. Your ability to grasp the right timing makes Shuihan feel inferior. My admiration for you is endless. Yi Shuihan immediately bowed. However, he was sneering in his heart. That's more like it. Yan Wanshan arrogantly raised his hand and waved it. The team continued to move forward. At the same time, he shrank back into the crowd. What are you looking at? You're the same as him, a coward. Yi Shuihan found that Qin Hao was looking at him and muttered in disgust. Qin Hao, with his stage 2 cultivation, was even more cowardly than Yan Wanshan. He actually shamelessly shrank at the back of the team. At the back was Yi Shuihan's position. He was the weakest, so he felt that this position was very suitable. However, Qin Hao, with his stage 2 cultivation, also shrank at the back. Suddenly, Yi Shuihan felt very disdainful. Ha ha! Qin Hao smiled faintly. With his hands behind his back, he still followed at the back of the team, walking side by side with Yi Shuihan. He was not a coward, but he felt that Yan Wanshan was too treacherous. He kept letting others fight while he kept his strength to take advantage of others. Qin Hao was not stupid enough to be a hired thug. He also wanted to preserve his strength. Only by preserving his strength could he have a chance to upgrade his imprint. Only by preserving his strength could he have the strength to snatch others' imprint. Only by preserving his strength could he walk out of this forest alive. As the team moved forward, they encountered more than 10 Xian beasts along the way. There was even one time when 4 hungry wolves attacked the Wild Daddy gang together. Unfortunately, after the incident with the hairy spider, the Wild Daddy gang members became smarter. They firmly united and killed all the Xian beasts that ambushed them. Unfortunately, 2 of them died in battle. But there were still more than 20 people in the team. And the beast souls of those Xian beasts, without exception, all became Yan Wanshan's. Yan Wanshan's imprint had now risen to stage 6. A stage 6 imprint was enough to make him an outstanding disciple of Qiangbin and enjoy all kinds of benefits in the future. But looking at Yan Wanshan's expression, he was still a little unsatisfied. He actually wanted everyone to work together to upgrade his imprint to stage 8 or even stage 9. Gradually, some people in the team began to feel dissatisfied, and more voices of dissatisfaction. Boss Yan, we lost 2 of our brothers and more than 10 Xian beasts. You didn't even kill one. The beast soul of a profound beast was completely absorbed by you alone. That's a little too much. The Wild Daddy gang members protested. The leaders were 3 8-star Yuan masters. Ahem, actually I was thinking for everyone. No one knows if absorbing the Xian beast soul is harmful to the body. So, I risked my life. I've given it a lot of thought. Yan Wanshan said shamelessly. Instantly, everyone was so angry that they wanted to curse. This reason was really shameless to the extreme. You sucked away all the beast souls by yourself. Was it for the sake of everyone? If that's the case, then we're also willing to think for everyone. We're also willing to risk our lives. If Boss Yan is still so domineering, then I won't keep you company. Little 5, little 6, let's go. One of them said. He turned and left the Wild Daddy gang with a few others. Let's go too. I, Zhao Daqian, can't serve such a shameless boss. Another person waved his hand and took 5 or 6 people with him. In an instant, the Wild Daddy gang members were reduced by half. Don't worry, everyone. If worst comes to worst, I'll let you absorb all the Xian beast we kill in the future. Yan Wanshan was anxious. Without everyone's protection, even a 9-star Yuan master like him would not be able to survive in the forest alone. I hope you'll keep your word. If not, my brother Ma Huadeng and I will also leave. Ma Yun said. Lu Qiangdong nodded, indicating that he was on Ma Yun's side. A real man has an indomitable spirit. I'll keep my word. Immediately, Yan Wanshan swore solemnly and solemnly. His action temporarily calmed the others down. However, Yan Wanshan put the blame on Qin Hao. He stared coldly at Qin Hao and said arrogantly, Hey, you brat, we agreed to kill the Xian beast together. Why didn't you do anything just now? In other words, Qin Hao was just leeching off experience points. He was dragging everyone down and affecting everyone's results. In response, Qin Hao chuckled. I didn't do anything, but I didn't absorb any beast souls either. Moreover, I'm not the only one who didn't do anything. After saying that, he glanced at Yi Shuihan and stared at Yan Wanshan. Yan Wanshan was the most shameless person. Not only did he not do anything, he even absorbed all the beast souls. How dare you talk back to me? You're revolting. Chapter 257. Ambush Boss Yan, I found something good. Suddenly, a shout was heard, and the tone of the shout was very excited. Yan Wanshan immediately stopped and subconsciously turned his head to look. He saw a figure running over from afar. It was De Mao. De Mao was an 8-star Yuan master who had just left. He had taken Little 5 and Little 6 with him. For some reason, he returned to the Wild Daddy gang. Looking at De Mao's excited expression, it seemed that he had found some treasure. "What's wrong, Brother De Mao? I was wrong just now. What did you find? Why don't you tell me? I'll back you up." De Mao's strength was extraordinary. Yan Wanshan was happy that he could bring people back. Looking at his appearance, it seemed that he had made a major discovery. Yan Wanshan's interest was piqued, and he immediately patted his chest to support his brother. At this moment, he shifted his attention away from Qin Hao. "There are 5 people in front, 4 men and 1 woman. The woman is extremely beautiful and has an excellent figure. They're trying to capture 2 Xian beasts, and now they're both injured," De Mao said excitedly. After he left, he found a small team surrounding 2 Xian beasts. The leader of the team was an 8-star Master Origin Master, and he had 4 lackeys with him. One of them was a woman. He had to admit that the woman was extremely beautiful and coquettish. They were besieging 2 flame leopards, which were level 7 Xian beasts. Generally speaking, Xian beasts were stronger than humans of the same level. The leader of the small team was an 8-star Yuan Master, and he could barely deal with a flame leopard. The other 4 surrounded the other one. If Yan Wanshan rushed over with his Wild Daddy gang, not only would he be able to take advantage of the situation, he would also be able to absorb the flame leopard's beast soul. In fact, he could even kill those people and absorb their imprint. De Mao's strength was on par with the team leaders, and he didn't have as many people as the other party, so he couldn't take down that small team. That was why he came back to tell Yan Wanshan. Otherwise, how could he let others take advantage of such a good thing? This is a godsend opportunity. We can't waste it. There are other women? Yan Wanshan's lustful eyes rolled around as he licked his lips hungrily. Contestants from all over the world had volunteered to participate in Qiyang University's final assessment. If there were any accidents, they would have to bear the consequences. The forest was incomparably cruel. Even if a woman was raped, no one would dare to make a sound. All right. After thinking about it, Yan Wanshan made up his mind. He waved his hand and said, "Brothers, follow me to kill them. We have a lot of people. Once we get there, we don't need to talk nonsense. Just kill them all. The girl has to stay. Also, don't hurt a single strand of her hair, ha ha." As soon as Yan Wanshan laughed, everyone started to laugh as well. After all, the harvest this time was definitely not small. Yan Wanshan's imprint had reached the 6th stage and had absorbed enough. Therefore, the team members' marks and the 2 flame leopards' beast souls would all belong to the members of the Wild Daddy gang. As for women, the cruel way of survival didn't require any morals or integrity. One word: do it. Immediately, under De Mao's guidance, Yan Wanshan led everyone excitedly to the battlefield. Qin Hao rolled up his sleeves and followed. He was now a member of the Wild Daddy gang. Although he felt that the Wild Daddy gang's style was trashy, the world was like this. If you didn't devour others, you would be killed by others. A few minutes later, everyone arrived at the battlefield. Hide carefully. In front of them, the fierce battle was about to reach its final stage. Just as De Mao had said, there were 5 figures fighting with 2 flame leopards. There was a young man with green flames on his body. He held a snow-white broadsword in his hand and flipped the body of one of the flame leopards, causing streams of blood to spurt out. The young man had the strength of an 8-star Yuan Master. Dealing with a rank 7 Xian beast was a piece of cake. The other 4 members also surrounded the other flame leopard. Although the flame leopard struggled with all its might, it was futile to escape. Unfortunately, it was firmly surrounded. It was only a matter of time before it became a corpse under the broadsword. Among the 4 people, there was indeed a woman. She was quite good-looking. Her skin was fair, her eyebrows were curved like willow leaves, and her figure was extremely graceful. Especially during the battle, her full breasts jiggled again and again. This scene made Yan Wanshan, who was in the bushes, drool dripping onto his chest. His eyes were about to burst into flames. He thought to himself, awesome. At this moment, the young leader of the small team had already slashed the neck of the flame leopard. As blood spurted out, the 3-meter-long flame leopard let out a mournful cry and fell under the broadsword unwillingly. Before it died, it was still extremely fierce. It spat out flames and burned the young man's clothes. The young man couldn't dodge in time. Half of his clothes caught fire. He screamed and rolled on the ground, barely extinguishing the flames. Even so, half of his body was already drenched in blood. Kill! Yen Wanshan shouted. He raised his battle axe and jumped into the field, directly slashing at the young man on the ground. When the members of the Wild Daddy gang saw this, they were like a group of excited bandits. They crazily crawled out of the bushes and mercilessly slashed at the members of the small team with their shining swords. This scene happened too suddenly. The other party was completely caught off guard. Especially when there were so many members of the Wild Daddy gang. There were more than 20 of them. The small team only had 5 people. The members of the Wild Daddy gang were 4 to 5 times their number. Immediately, they were scared out of their wits. Especially the woman. She was scared out of her wits when she saw more than 20 men rushing over. These men all stared at her with bloodshot eyes. Their gazes could tear her clothes apart. "Who are you?" the young leader shouted. As an 8-star master, after a short moment of absent-mindedness, he immediately swung his broadsword at Yen Wanshan. Yen Wanshan's battle-axe was extremely ruthless. If he didn't resist, he would definitely die. Unfortunately, as soon as they exchanged blows, the young leader was directly sent flying by Yen Wanshan. He spat out a mouthful of blood midway. This attack also made him understand that he was no match for Yen Wanshan. Even if he wasn't injured, he couldn't defeat his opponent. Because Yen Wanshan was a 9-star master. When the young leader was sent flying, the other members of the Wild Daddy gang surrounded the other members of the small team. Moreover, they took the opportunity to kill the dying flame leopard. At this moment, everyone, including the woman, was trembling in fear. Yen Wanshan and this group of people obviously had bad intentions. Despicable! The young leader fell to the ground and roared angrily. It wasn't easy for them to kill the flame leopard. They had lost too much energy, but the Wild Daddy gang had taken advantage of them. Despicable? In this forest there is no law. As long as I can survive, as long as I can become Qiangbin's disciple, I don't care if he's despicable or not. As he spoke, Yen Wanshan raised his axe again. The sharp edge of the axe streaked across the white light and fell on the young leader's head. "Big brother, wait. I'm willing to submit to you. Also, you can use the women in my team as you wish." In order to survive, the young leader no longer had any moral bottom line. He immediately chose to betray his female teammates. Chapter 258. Bites back, at least you know what's good for you. To be able to work for Yen Wanshan of the Wild Daddy gang is your good fortune. Yen Wanshan kept his axe, his face full of pride. His expression seemed to say, "Look, I'm so mighty, no one is better than me." "So your brother Yen from the Wild Daddy gang. I've wanted to join the Wild Daddy gang for a long time. Long live the Wild Daddy gang." The young captain raised his fist and shouted loudly with a fawning expression on his face. He turned his head and pointed at the woman surrounded by the crowd. "Tian Shinran, hurry up and serve Boss Yen. He's your master from now on." The young man's tone was not one of negotiation, but of command. "Big brother Ho, we passed the martial arts conference together. We said that we would live and die together. How can you abandon me just like that?" Tian Shinran shouted. "Who will never leave you? Who will go to the ends of the earth with you? Who will live and die with you? It's your good fortune to be Boss Yan's servant." "What? You're not willing?" Ho Daji was extremely dissatisfied. He was now a member of the Wild Daddy gang. To give Tian Xinran a chance to live was a huge favor. When the crowd heard this, they looked at each other. So Ho Daji and Tian Xinran were a couple. This Ho Daji was such a spineless thing. No, in fact, I'm very willing. Tian Xinran's words made everyone's jaws drop. With a smile in her beautiful eyes, she swayed her hips and came to Yan Wanshan's side. She held onto his thick and strong arm. Her delicate appearance made everyone at the scene swallow their dry saliva. This woman changed faster than flipping a book. She took the initiative to throw herself into Yan Wanshan's arms. It seemed that Ho Daji and Tian Xinran were a good match. They were both cheap wretches. Haha, Yan Wanshan's expression was even more proud. He even laughed out loud. This was the embodiment of strength. As long as you were strong enough, you could take everything. Even let the other party throw herself into his arms. I'm also willing to join the Wild Daddy gang. I'm willing to be Boss Yan's follower. Immediately, the other 3 members of Ho Daji's team also expressed their willingness to submit. Not bad. You guys did very well. It's a pity that I have enough brothers in the Wild Father gang. I don't want to raise trash. So, all of you can go to hell. Yan Wanshan smiled. His eyes suddenly became ferocious. He swung the axe with one hand, and the cold blade swept across Ho Daji's neck. Suddenly, a head flew into the air. Kill. Seeing this, the others drew their swords and knives and stabbed at Ho Daji's 3 subordinates. The 3 of them didn't even have time to react before they died tragically in the hands of the members of the Wild Daddy gang. There were only 2 level 7 Xian beasts here. How could it be enough for 20 people? Therefore, Ho Daji and his men must die. Boss Yan, I sincerely want to serve you. You are handsome and elegant. You are the hero in Xinran's heart. Tian Xinran was so scared that her face changed. His body trembled even more, and there was a pleading look in his eyes. Her words made Qin Hao feel like vomiting. Yan Wanshan's body was full of muscles, and his appearance was very rough. He was completely different from being handsome and elegant. Girl, don't be afraid. I can see that you were forced to do this, right? As long as you say the word, I am willing to take you away safely. At this moment, a voice sounded from the Wild Daddy gang. The voice was full of righteousness. Everyone was stunned at the same time. Who was so bold to challenge Yan Wanshan? Who dared to go against the entire Wild Daddy gang? They all looked over. At this moment, even Yan Wanshan's face was trembling. There was a traitor in his gang. They all looked over. They realized that it was Yi Shuihan who said it. Boy, you are courting death. Yan Wanshan roared hoarsely from his throat, and the axe in his hand emitted a cold light. You don't have to scare me. I said that if I die, no one will benefit. Don't doubt my words. At this moment, Yi Shuihan was not afraid of Yan Wanshan at all. At the same time, he raised his chin high, and his demeanor was very noble. Who are you trying to scare? You are just the descendant of a teacher. Do you really think that you are part of the Luoshui royal family? Yan Wanshan took a threatening step forward. In fact, if it were not for the fact that Yi Shuihan was still useful, he would have killed him with his axe. Qin Hao watched coldly from the side. He really admired Yi Shuihan's courage. However, if a powerful person wanted to be a hero and save a beauty, that would be pretentious. If a weak person stood up, he would undoubtedly be a fool. Obviously, Yi Shuihan belonged to the latter. Moreover, Qin Hao thought that what he did was not worth it. In fact, what happened next proved Qin Hao's guess. Even if I am not part of the Luoshui royal family, I have enough power to protect Miss Tian. You bully the weak because you have more people. If this matter reaches the ears of the elders of Qiyang University, and they say that you molest a female student, I am afraid that your future will be ruined. Yi Shuihan was very calm. He was not afraid at all. This aroused Qin Hao's interest. Could it be that Yi Shuihan had a trump card? I molested a female student? Yan Wanshan pointed at his nose and felt that it was very funny. He asked the crowd, "Who saw me molest her?" No, we didn't see anything." The crowd turned their heads to the side at the same time. "Did I molest you?" Yan Wanshan lowered his head and glared at Tian Shinran. Tian Shinran was so scared that her delicate body trembled. Then she said in a sweet voice, "Brother Yen did not molest me. In fact, I was the one who molested Brother Yen. He was the one who was forced." Then she pointed at Yi Shuihan and said coldly, "Moreover, I will report you to the elders. You actually slandered Brother Yan's character." Ha ha ha, the crowd burst into laughter. Tian Shinran, this woman, was really the best. In order to survive, she would say anything. She actually bit back at Yi Shuihan. Yi Shuihan was really an idiot. "You bitch!" Yi Shuihan was very angry. His face was twisted and he pointed at Tian Shinran and gnashed his teeth. He stood out with good intentions and wanted to help Tian Shinran out of trouble. He did not expect that this woman's heart was so vicious. If she really stood in front of the school elders and testified for Yan Wanshan, then there was no doubt that Yi Shuihan would become a villain. He would even lose the qualifications to become a student of Qiyang University. Brother Yi, it's not wrong for you to be jealous. The wrong thing is that you are jealous of me. Sister Shinran admires me so much. In fact, everyone is jealous. But there's no other way. Who asked me to be so handsome? Forget it. After all, we are brothers. As the boss, I won't make things difficult for you. In the future, you can just stay in the gang and be a good-for-nothing." Yan Wanshan walked in front of Yi Shuihan and slapped his thick palm heavily on Yi Shuihan's shoulder. He clenched his teeth and slapped Yi Shuihan's shoulder. Every slap made Yi Shuihan's body sway. On the surface, he seemed very magnanimous, but in his heart, he had other plans. He still had a use for Yi Shuihan. Boss is the boss. This magnanimity is very admirable. Boss is very magnanimous. As a member of Wild Daddy Gang, I am very proud. Boss Yen is really a good boss. In an instant, everyone began to flatter him. Yan Wanshan's hypocritical actions bought many people's heart. Suddenly, he became even more proud. He put his hands behind his back and nodded to everyone. Chapter 259. The beginning of the battle. Qin Hao walked to one of the corpses and slowly squatted down. He aimed his arm at the person's imprint, and with a flash of light, the imprint on the corpse's arm disappeared, devoured by Qin Hao's imprint. The marks on the other two corpses disappeared as well. In addition, the beast souls of the two flame leopards on the ground were also absorbed into the mark by Qin Hao. The number on Qin Hao's arm was now at stage 3. Just now, everyone's attention had been on Tian Shinran and Yi Shuihan. No one had expected that Qin Hao would seize this opportunity to collect the beast souls and imprints of Hou Daji's 3 subordinates. By the time he reacted, it was already too late. You stop. Yan Wanshan rushed forward and pushed Qin Hao away. He was furious. I haven't even given the order yet, and you dare to take the imprint? Wild Daddy Gang had so many people and spent so much effort to ambush the enemy. Qin Hao was the only one who benefited. Who gave you the guts to secretly take the imprint? Yan Wanshan grabbed Qin Hao's collar and said. He even wanted to lift Qin Hao up. Unfortunately, Qin Hao's body was as heavy as a boulder. No matter how red Yan Wanshan's face was, he couldn't move an inch. Instead, it made Yan Wanshan feel that he had lost face. Aren't imprints meant for people to collect? Since you don't want it, then it's my duty. Qin Hao sneered and slapped Yan Wanshan's hand away. When their palms touched, Yan Wanshan only felt a wave of pain and numbness. Her hand unconsciously loosened Qin Hao's collar. You're looking down on us. You're stealing our credit. Boss Yan, quickly take care of him. The spearhead of the members of Wild Daddy Gang instantly shifted from Yi Shuihan to Qin Hao. They felt aggrieved and wronged. Especially De Mao. He was the first to discover Ho Daji's group. De Mao should be the first to collect the mark. However, due to Qin Hao's initial Stage 2 cultivation, no one dared to step forward and make a move. They could only look at Yan Wanshan with pitiful eyes, hoping that he would uphold justice. Yan Wanshan was slapped by Qin Hao and his palm was still hurting. He couldn't see through Qin Hao's cultivation. His instincts told him that Zhang Xian's strength shouldn't be low. No matter how angry he was, he could only endure for now. Good, very good. In fact, the imprint is indeed for people to collect. But brother Qin Hao, you're too dishonest. Not only did you swallow the souls of 2 Xian beasts, you even took the imprints of 3 corpses. Don't do it again. Yan Wanshan didn't want to become enemies with Qin Hao, so he took the initiative to give in. But in his heart, Qin Hao was already a dead man. He had 100 ways to kill Qin Hao in this forest. Well said, well said. At worst, I'll give up all the marks in the future. And I haven't taken Ho Daji's mark yet, right? Qin Hao rubbed his nose and said. He sighed. The speed of collecting the marks was too slow. He didn't have time to do it. The higher the level of the mark, the more energy it needed. For example, Yan Wanshan's Stage 6 mark could only be achieved after absorbing nearly 20 Xian beast souls. Since the faction leader has spoken, then so be it. But Ho Daji's mark should belong to me. De Mao snorted angrily and glared at Qin Hao. He took the initiative to walk to Ho Daji's corpse, squatted down, and put the 2 marks together. After a flash of light, De Mao's mark rose to Stage 2. Ho Daji's mark was also at Stage 2. No one knew how many Xian beast souls he had absorbed, but now it was replaced by De Mao. At this moment, many people's eyes became fiery, and the feeling of plunder in their hearts became more restless. Qin Hao was now qualified to enter Qiyang University and become an ordinary disciple. De Mao was only 1 stage away from it. On the other hand, the others were still at Stage 1. Let's continue. Yan Wanshan waved his hand and led the group forward. Time was limited. The teleportation array that Old Man Huang had mentioned could only be maintained for 10 days. If they couldn't reach the destination within 10 days, they would be considered to have failed and would be sent back to their home country by Qiyang University. Wild Daddy Gang had many members. It wasn't easy to make everyone reach Stage 3, so there was no time to waste. You're all so shameless. Yi Shuihan glanced coldly at Qin Hao. The 2 of them stayed at the back of the group, walking side by side. Qin Hao and Yan Wanshan were the same. When there was danger, they would shrink back. When there were benefits, they would steal the fruits of others' labor. It's better to be shameless than some people who don't have brains, Qin Hao said sarcastically. Yi Shuihan's sympathy was overflowing. He had foolishly defended a woman like Tian Xinran. In the end, he had almost been bitten back and lost the qualification to become a disciple of Qiyang University. Just you wait. I'll make you regret saying that. Yi Shuihan felt extremely humiliated when his scar was exposed. He looked forward and saw that Tian Xinran and Yan Wanshan were very intimate. She was hugging Yan Wanshan's arm, her head nestled on his shoulder. They were flirting with each other. Shameless *tch. Yi Shuihan spat on the ground. He already regretted joining the Wild Daddy Gang. But what he regretted even more was yet to come. The group continued forward. Along the way, they killed some Xian beast and let the other members absorb the beast soul. Furthermore, they had also engaged in fierce battles with the other 3 teams. Wild Daddy Gang didn't suffer any losses due to their advantage in numbers. But in yesterday's battle, they lost a few people. The reason was simple. They were ambushed. Wild Daddy Gang had just finished fighting with a small group and was about to collect the other party's mark. At this time, another group of people came out from the bushes and raised their swords to slash at the Wild Daddy Gang. The situation was the same as when Hodaji was ambushed. They were caught off guard. Moreover, the other party had quite a number of people. There were about 20 of them. Fortunately, Wild Daddy Gang's members weren't weak. Other than Yen Wanshan, there were 2 8-star Yuan masters. After leaving 3 corpses behind, they fled in panic. In front of them was a gloomy forest. Black gas lingered around it and didn't disperse. Even from far away, he could smell a putrid stench. Yen Wanshan raised his arm, and Wild Daddy Gang's members stopped. Clearly, there was miasma in the forest ahead. At the edge of the forest, there were 7 or 8 bruised corpses with thick water flowing out of them. These people obviously wanted to break through the miasma forest. Unfortunately, they were too weak. They probably ran halfway and realized that they couldn't hold on, so they turned around and ran back. As soon as they ran out of the forest, they fell and died from the poison. The marks on their arms had also disappeared. It was most likely that they had been stolen by other contestants who had passed by. "Boss, there's something wrong with this forest," someone said fearfully. "Even an idiot can see that there's something wrong." Yen Wanshan glared at him. Then, he shouted in a low voice, "My friends, why are you hiding? Come out and show yourselves. Anyway, no one can pass through this miasma forest." Yen Wanshan seemed to be talking to the air. As soon as he finished speaking, more than 10 black shadows came out of the bushes one after another, approaching the Wild Daddy Gang step by step. Chapter 260. Chapter 260. Get in there and die a horrible death. As they got closer, they could gradually see the faces of these people. "It's the Axe Gang." The corner of Ma Yun's eyes twitched involuntarily. He subconsciously tightened his grip on the sword in his hand. It was the Axe Gang who had ambushed them a few days ago. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. Today they met again. I was wondering who it was. "So it's Yen Wanshan, you runaway bear." The leader was a young man. His body was a little thin, and he had a coffin-like face with 3 moles on his face. He wore a black hat on his head and a short axe on his waist. His tone was as cold as a dead person's. It was obvious that he wasn't a good person. When he saw Yen Wanshan, he secretly pressed his left rib. That day when they ambushed the Wild Daddy Gang, the coffin-faced youth tried to swallow Yen Wanshan and his group. Who knew that Yen Wanshan's group of people's strength was not ordinary? They actually could not swallow it. Although they were caught off guard, the Axe Gang also lost a few people. Because of this, Coffin Face did not dare to chase after Yen Wanshan. This was because the strength of both sides was almost the same. If they fought head-on, it was very likely that both Jade and Stone would be destroyed. "What's wrong? Duziting? You're hiding in the dark and trying to scheme against others? I don't know if you've recovered from the axe I gave you." Yen Wanshan's face was filled with caution. In his heart, he was not afraid of his opponent. His strength was on par with Duziting. They were both peak 9-star Yuan masters. "Same to you. How's the wound on your leg?" Duziting sneered and glanced at Yen Wanshan's thigh. Yen Wanshan used his immense strength to injure his left rib. Duziting also used a small hatchet to make a cut on Yen Wanshan's thigh. "Cut the crap. Did you guys cause these 7 or 8 corpses on the ground?" Yen Wanshan pointed at the corpse on the ground, his eyes questioning Duziting. Presumably, Duziting had already tested the poisonous gas in the forest and was looking for a solution. Duziting didn't deny it and nodded. The miasma in the forest was very strong. Even an 8-star master wouldn't be able to stay there for more than 15 minutes. Just now, Duziting had ordered someone to go into the forest to investigate, but before he could pee, the person who went and ran out with his mouth covered. When he returned, he fell to the ground, convulsing and foaming at the mouth. Not long after, he died from the poison. 5 of our Axe Gang's brothers were killed, but we didn't find out how wide the miasma covered. At this point, Duziting shook his head, unwilling to give up. If he couldn't pass through the poison forest in front of him, he wouldn't be able to reach the location of the spiritual array. He had thought of taking a detour, but he didn't know how far it would take. What if it took 8 to 10 days? The competition would have ended long ago. What about the other 2 bodies? Yan Wanshan asked. It's a couple. I pushed them into the forest and they went to hell together, hee. Du Ziding smiled evilly. Squatting here did not mean that he did not gain anything. He discovered that every time a few more people entered the forest, they would absorb the miasma inside. The toxicity of the poison would be weakened. If a few more people were to push forward, Du Ziding was almost certain that everyone would be able to safely pass through this forest, and there would be no need to take a detour. But after waiting for half a day, Yan Wanshan and his group of idiots came. This made Du Ziding very helpless. Are you sure? As long as a few more people are to push forward, we can safely pass through? Yan Wanshan's eyes lit up, and he subconsciously glanced at Yi Shuihan and Qin Hao. It was time to get rid of Yi Shuihan, this useless waste. As for Qin Hao, he was too disobedient. Let him die along with him. I'm sure. Du Ziding patted his chest and promised. His sly eyes met Yan Wanshan's. Why don't you and I join hands, and each of us send a few more brothers to explore the way? I agree. Yan Wanshan had this idea long ago. He and Du Ziding were the same kind of people, and the two hit it off. Immediately, Yan Wanshan smiled and came to Yi Shuihan's side. His broad palm slapped heavily on Yi Shuihan's shoulder. How about it, young Master Yi? Are you going to take the initiative to go in? Or do you want me to throw you in and have fun? What do you mean, Yan Wanshan? Yi Shuihan asked sharply. What do I mean? I let you go in and absorb the poisonous gas in the forest. You've been in my gang for a few days, and you're useless. I don't raise trash. Speaking of this, Yan Wanshan pointed at Qin Hao and said arrogantly, and you go with Yi Shuihan. Qin Hao sneered and said fearlessly, what if I don't go in? Qin Hao's space ring had a backup of the cleansing powder. Although he was not afraid of the miasma, he would not be a scapegoat for Yan Wanshan. It's not up to you. Yan Wanshan waved his hand and ordered everyone to surround Qin Hao and Yi Shuihan. He also held the sharp battle axe in his hand. Yi Shuihan was originally a waste, and he deserved to die. Qin Hao had always been on bad terms with the gang members, and he dared to secretly absorb the mark of Ho Daji's gang, which made the members of Wild Daddy Gang extremely dissatisfied. At this time, no one pleaded for them. Looks like we can't escape. Qin Hao looked at Yi Shuihan. He was not afraid of the miasma, but Yi Shuihan was definitely going to die. I didn't expect to die with you, so disgusting. Yi Shuihan also had a trump card, and he was not afraid. He thought that Qin Hao was going to die. Don't talk nonsense. It's your good fortune to be the scapegoat for me, Yan Wanshan. I have to say, it's not too lonely for the two of you to die together. It's a pity that you're not a loving couple, but you can be passionate, ha ha. Yan Wanshan laughed and waved his hand, ordering the members of Wild Daddy Gang to push Qin Hao and Yi Shuihan into the miasma. Qin Hao and Yi Shuihan both took a deep breath. Their hearts were filled with anger. Looking at the current situation, there was no way they could fight against two big groups. Entering the miasma forest was their only fate. At this moment, the two of them had a feeling of sympathy for each other, and silently looked at each other. Then, at the same time, they snorted, turned their heads to the side, and stepped into the miasma forest in front of them. Anyway, they were not going to die. Moreover, they could take this opportunity to get rid of Wild Daddy Gang's bad reputation and run directly to the spiritual array. They had just taken a step forward, but they had not yet entered. In the midst of their shock, a panicked shout came from behind them. The shout was very crisp, and one could tell that it was a girl. Qin Hao and Yi Shuihan could not help but stop and look back. In fact, at this moment, everyone was looking back, and their eyes fell on the distance. They saw a thin and tiny figure running over. It was a little girl in white, with a round little face and a pair of ponytails on top of her head. She was not old, similar to Tsyogwa, and looked to be 12 or 13 years old. That pair of pure eyes, as clear as water, contained a heart-wrenching panic. Everyone was stunned by this scene. Chapter 261. Chapter 261. Nalan, Lee. Those who came to participate in the last assessment were all contestants of the martial arts competitions of various countries. Could it be that this little girl in white was also one of the contestants? This conjecture made everyone extremely astonished. Everyone had fought their way here from the martial arts tournament. The journey had been too difficult. At such a young age, the little girl in white actually managed to make it all the way to the final exam of Chiyang University. He was definitely not ordinary. Qin Hao was also guessing in his heart, but he did not find the little girl in white on the third platform. They should be players from other platforms. Qin Hao nodded. At this moment, the little girl in white was really scared out of her wits. She was in quite a sorry state. Behind him, a cloud of dust was chasing after him. The dust caused the ground to rumble. Could it be that she's being hunted down by other contestants? Just as Qin Hao thought of this, his eyes suddenly tightened and his gaze was fixed on the dust cloud. With Denda's sharp senses, Qin Hao heard the panting of wild beasts in the dust. The one chasing after the little girl was not a contestant, but the Xian beast. There were quite a few of them. As they got closer and closer, Qin Hao's guess was confirmed. He saw several black tigers with slanted eyes pouncing towards him. These black tigers were of different levels. There were level 6, level 7, level 8, all of them. There were 7 or 8 of them. Their bodies were ferocious, and their sharp claws emitted a cold light as they chased after the little girl in white. If the little girl had been a step slower, she would have been torn to pieces by the tigers. Fortunately, at this moment, the little girl finally ran in front of everyone. Her panicked eyes were instantly filled with surprise. There was hope, and there were so many of them. Big brothers, please help me. 10 meters away, the little girl had already sent out a cry for help. It was only at this moment that everyone saw the little girl's face clearly. She was even more pure and fresh than he had imagined. Her tender little face was flushed from running for too long. Her rapid breathing caused a pair of small breasts that had just developed to rise and fall. She had fair skin and a pair of ponytails that gave off a youthful vibe. People couldn't help but want to hold her in their arms and love her dearly. Yan Wanshan and Du Ziting's eyes widened. What an alluring little loli. She was a beauty in the making. What was even more alluring was that on her jade arm, there was actually an imprint of the third stage. Such a cute little loli, all alone, was branded with a 3 mark. She was simply a heaven-sent beauty. What are you waiting for? Don't you have any morals? Hurry up and protect the little girl. Kill these dirty tigers. Yan Wanshan roared. He had always shrunk into the crowd, but at this moment, he erupted with the bravery of a god of war. He ignored the danger to his life and raised his battle axe to block the little loli's back. He single-handedly withstood the siege of 7 or 8 Xian beasts. His fearless appearance was truly moving. Kill! The members of Wild Daddy Gang reacted and immediately joined the battle. Protect the cute little sister. Du Ziting's bravery was even greater than Yan Wanshan's. His blood was boiling, and he didn't even bother to take out a weapon. He fought the tiger with his bare hands, and his eyes were as wide as a bull in heat. Kill! Immediately, the members of the Axe Gang also rushed forward. More than 40 people surrounded the 7 or 8 Xian beasts. Without a doubt, within a few breaths, a group of fierce Xian beasts were chopped to death. Phew! The little loli heaved a sigh of relief and patted her small chest. You scared me. Thank you, big brothers. You are really good people. Yan Wanshan and Du Ziting's bravery immediately won the little Loli's favor. After the start of the competition, she was chased by other contestants who wanted to devour her 3 initial mark. Yan Wanshan and Du Ziting bravely stepped forward when she was in danger. They were 10 times better than those bad guys who tried to steal her mark. Little sister, don't be afraid. What's your name? Why did you come to the dangerous forest alone? Yan Wanshan wiped the tiger blood off his body to make himself look more decent. But his pair of green eyes were firmly fixed on the little Loli's tender little face. Too tempting. His lust was aroused. My name is Nalanli. I came to find my sister. Nalanli said. Oh? Your sister is also participating in the competition? Du Ziting walked up and pretended to be harmless. His eyes, intentionally or unintentionally, glanced at the 3 marks on Nalanli's arm. No, my sister is so strong. She is already a student of Qiyang University. I am, Nalanli stammered. She had stolen it from her family. She used some small tricks to sneak into the team of Qiyang University's contestants. So that's how it is. Although Nalanli didn't say it clearly, Yan Wanshan guessed it. What surprised him even more was that Nalanli's sister was a senior at Qiyang University. If he could firmly control this little Loli in his hands, once she entered the Scarlet Sun Academy, he could also conveniently ensnare her elder sister. Immediately, Yan Wanshan's eyes became more heated. Nalanli was so attractive. Although she was young, she was beginning to take shape. She wondered how beautiful her sister would be. It is too dangerous for you to be alone. Why don't you follow me? I will protect you. I will definitely help you find your sister. Du Ziting's thoughts were the same as Yan Wanshan's. How could he let the other party take all the benefits? No, Sister Shaoli was saved by me. She must follow me. Yan Wanshan stepped forward as if he was protecting a treasure. He stood in front of Nalanli. Moreover, the members of the Wild Daddy gang tacitly took a step forward and confronted the Axe gang with equal harshness. What a joke. You're not the only one who saved little sister Shaoli. I'm also her savior. Her elder sister will also give me some benefits in the future. Maybe she'll take a fancy to my face and want to repay me with her body. Du Ziting fiercely glared at Yan Wanshan. He must have Nalanli. Not only did he want her, but he also wanted the mark. Don't think that you can beat me just because you sneak attacked me once. Do you want to see blood? Yan Wanshan said fiercely. So what? You are just a loser. I am not afraid of you. Brothers! Du Ziting shouted. Crash! The members of Axe Gang stepped forward at the same time. The 2 gangs were ready to fight at any time. The atmosphere was extremely tense. So, you are also not good people. Nalanli carefully stepped back, distancing herself from the crowd. Even if she was young, she could hear the meaning of benefits from the conversation between Yan Wanshan and Du Ziting. These people saving her was fake. They wanted to control Nalanli and make her sister fall into a trap. Seeing this, Qin Hao's pupils shrank to the size of a needle. He secretly increased his yuan qi. He could ignore the arrogant Yi Shuihan and ignore the death of the spineless Wang Daji. He could even ignore Tian Xinran. However, Nalanli was a simple child. Qin Hao could not help but think of Xiaogua. At that time, Guadi was also so innocent. He could not let Nalanli fall into the hands of Yan Wanshan and Du Ziting. Otherwise, she was destined to be miserable. Moreover, she would implicate the senior in the school. Qin Hao had already made up his mind to save her. Although the risk was great, he had to snatch Nalanli from the hands of more than 40 yuan master experts. Chapter 262. Stealing a girl from a wolf's den. Sister Shaoli, don't be afraid. I'm a good person. Du Ziting is the bad guy. Look at his coffin-like face, there are 3 moles on his face. That's the sign of a bad guy. He's the worst of the bad guys, the worst of the bad guys. His whole body exudes a lewd smell. But if you follow me obediently, he won't be able to hurt a single hair on your head. Yen Wanshan said righteously. Fuck your mother. Don't think I can't see it. You protect Sister Shaoli because of her beauty, but you also want to take advantage of her sister. I'm a villain, and you're a complete hypocrite. Du Ziting pointed at Yen Wanshan and scolded him, revealing the darkness in his heart. So what? Don't you also want to steal Sister Shaoli's mark? Let me tell you, no way. Yen Wanshan held the axe in his hand and got into a fighting posture. The little loli behind him was priceless, and he definitely couldn't let the axe gang take advantage of her. A bunch of bad guys. The more Nalan Li heard, the more scared she became. Her big watery eyes were filled with tears. She had just escaped from a tiger's mouth, and thought she was saved, but now she was in a wolf's den. Wild beasts were ruthless. Human hearts were fiercer than wild beasts. How could they be so bad? In an instant, Nalan Li's pure heart felt dark. Could it be that in this world, besides her father, mother, and sister, there was no good person? It's good to be bad. Bad people can live longer. If I wasn't bad, I would have died in the forest. Seeing that he couldn't hide it anymore, Yen Wanshan also revealed his foxtail. His lustful eyes swept over Nalan Li's body, saliva dripping from the corner of his mouth, like a wolf. Yen Wanshan, to tell you the truth, Nalan Li, this little girl, you alone can't handle her. My axe gang will take her, unless you let me absorb her mark, otherwise. Du Ziting waved his hand. In an instant, all the members of the axe gang surged their primordial chi at the same time. Balls of green flame flashed in the woods, one after another. The thick smell of gunpowder filled the crowd, making the already tense situation even more tense. Boss, please think twice. For a little girl, it's not worth it to fight the axe gang, De Mao cautiously said. So what if he controlled Nalan Li? The benefits wouldn't fall on the gang members, and in the end, Yen Wanshan would be the only one benefiting. If a fight really broke out, it was possible that someone would die in a daze. That's right, Brother Yen. This little girl is too small. She's far from my size. Tian Shinran said hurriedly, pulling Yen Wanshan's arm. Her eyes were filled with pleading and flattery. If Nalan Li stayed by Yen Wanshan's side, it would undoubtedly affect Tian Shinran's position. The corner of Yen Wanshan's eyes twitched. He narrowed his eyes and gritted his teeth. All right, I can let you absorb her mark, but you have to give me the person. Yen Wanshan licked his lips. He had already made a concession. It was all Nalan Li's fault for being too pure. Her elder sister must also be unbelievably beautiful. Moreover, she was a senior in the academy. Her status was definitely not ordinary. Sure. Du Ziting nodded. In fact, he didn't want to fight head-on with the Wild Dad gang. The two of them immediately came to an agreement. Yen Wanshan allowed Du Ziting to come over alone and absorb the mark on Nalan Li's arm. Looking at Du Ziting, who was walking over with a strange smile, Nalan Li trembled and retreated. Her eyes were filled with tears. The lonely and helpless little girl made one's heart ache and pity her. She couldn't escape. She was surrounded by the Wild Dad gang members, each of them holding a sharp sword. At this moment, she could only pray for her elder sister's name in her heart, hoping that her elder sister would come and save her. However, this hope would eventually turn into an extravagant hope. Little girl, don't be afraid. It won't hurt. I will treat you gently, very gently. Come, come, let your elder brother check your body first. Du Ziting's face was blurred. He let out a comfortable groan as he approached Nalan Li step by step. Just as his dirty hand was about to reach out, Qin Hao, who was hiding in the crowd, moved. He struck out with his palm and sent a member of the Wild Dad gang flying. That member let out a blood-curdling scream. He spat out blood and crashed into Du Ziting. Qin Hao's palm was ferocious. It was enough to crush an 8-star Yuan master. Those who were hit by it wouldn't survive. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Qin Hao's body flew up like a rock. He used the water wind steps and stepped on the heads of the Wild Dad gang members as he flew towards Nalanli. Every time his feet landed, the people under his feet would fall to the ground and roll on the ground while holding their head. This scene happened too suddenly, and no one had expected it, especially Du Ziting and Yan Wanshan. Du Ziting had just reached out his hand with a lewd smile on his face. He hadn't even touched Nalanli yet. However, a burly man came crashing towards him. That powerful impact landed on Du Ziting's body and sent him flying away with it. Yan Wanshan was dumbfounded. When he saw that it was Qin Hao, he couldn't help but be furious. Traitor! There was a traitor in the Wild Dad gang. This was a great humiliation. Follow me. Qin Hao didn't allow any resistance. He grabbed Nalanli's hand and ran. He didn't dare to hold back his strength as a 4-star Yuan master. In a one-on-one fight, he was confident that he wouldn't be a match for any 8-star Yuan master. If he faced a 9-star Yuan master like Yan Wanshan, Qin Hao was confident that he could protect himself. However, he didn't have the ability to kill him. Moreover, Yan Wanshan wasn't the only 9-star Yuan master. Everyone present was the champion of the martial arts tournament. Who didn't have some trump cards? Qin Hao's successful sneak attack didn't mean that he could fight against over 40 Yuan masters. Where do you think you are going? Leave her behind. Yan Wanshan was furious. Qin Hao must have eaten a bear's heart and leopard's guts to snatch Nalanli away in front of him. If Qin Hao managed to escape successfully, the 40-plus Yuan masters present could go and hang themselves in the southeast. Immediately, the battle axe swept out. Pring Bai's energy swept out a sharp axe light that slashed towards Qin Hao's back. Qin Hao didn't even look. He raised his hand and pointed behind him. Boom! The golden finger collided with the axe light and exploded into a ball of fire. The turbulent energy wreaked havoc. It blasted on Yan Wanshan's body and also blasted on Qin Hao. Qin Hao grabbed Nalanli's hand and held her firmly in his arms. He used his back to block the aftermath. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain on his back. It was as if he had been hit by a palm. This blow also shook Qin Hao to the point where a trace of blood came out from the corner of his mouth. The strength of a 9-star Yuan master was indeed not to be underestimated. However, this blow on Qin Hao's back had undoubtedly become his driving force, increasing Qin Hao's speed. In a flash, Qin Hao took Nalanli and disappeared into the poison forest. Damn it! Yan Wanshan let out an unwilling roar. He wanted to chase after Qin Hao. However, his feet suddenly went soft and he almost fell to the ground. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Qin Hao was injured, but Yan Wanshan wasn't any better. At this moment, Yan Wanshan's heart was shocked. Qin Hao's strength was only that of a 4-star Yuan master. However, why was the strength of his energy so ferocious? At this moment, Yan Wanshan seemed to understand why Qin Hao was given the initial stage 2 cultivation when he was being measured. The finger technique he used just now was definitely an extraordinary finger technique. If the cultivation technique was of a high grade, it could indeed increase one's combat strength to a large extent. However, Yan Wanshan was confident that if he met Qin Hao again, he could definitely kill him. Chapter 263. True man does not show his face, boss. Qin Hao took the little loli away. Qin Hao is too shameless. He has been hiding in the team, never willing to put in effort, but at the critical moment, he used a dirty trick. He is simply despicable, a scum. Everyone has the right to kill him. Our beloved little loli was taken away by him. Boss, did you see that? Go and bite him to death. The members of the Wild Daddy gang cried out in pain. They scolded Qin Hao for being a bastard. This was already the second time that Qin Hao had tricked everyone. Such a beautiful little loli had suddenly disappeared. All the good things were given to Qin Hao. Slap! Yan Wanshan raised his hand and slapped a person's face, causing him to spin 3 times on the spot. Yan Wanshan spat out his saliva and roared, "I saw it, I'm not blind. Qin Hao, you big waste, dare to betray me, Yan Wanshan, dare to become a traitor of the Wild Daddy Gang. I want you to die a horrible death." "But boss, he has already escaped." "Escaped?" Yan Wanshan sneered. "Even if he escaped to the ends of the earth, he will catch Qin Hao and skin him alive. Daring to be a traitor, this hatred is absolutely irreconcilable. As the leader, if he cannot kill Qin Hao, Yan Wanshan will not have the face to show his face in the future. The poisonous gas in the forest is so strong, maybe Qin Hao has already been poisoned to death. Poor little sister Shaoli, I have not had the chance to kiss her." Yan Wanshan raised his head and let out a sad cry. The beautiful Nalanli was right in front of him, but she was rescued by the traitor Qin Hao. He even took Nalanli and escaped into the poisonous forest. It is a pity that the little loli is so beautiful. Yan Wanshan regretted it. He wished he could kill Qin Hao earlier. Maybe he won't die. Don't forget that the poisonous gas in the forest has weakened a lot. Du Ziding's face was cold. He pushed away the person on top of him and climbed up from the ground. The guy on top of him had been hit by Qin Hao's palm from the back and had already turned into a corpse. Du Ziding's words made Yan Wanshan happy, his eyes shining. That's right. Since Qin Hao dared to escape into the forest, he must have something to rely on. Perhaps Nalanli would not die. After all, the poisonous gas in the forest had been weakened a lot. Where's Yi Shuihan? Where was that good-for-nothing Yi Shuihan? Hurry up and push him in to suck in a few mouthfuls of poison. Once he's poisoned to death, we'll chase after Qin Hao. Yan Wanshan suddenly thought of Yi Shuihan. Yi Shuihan was the perfect scapegoat. It was his turn to take the stage. However, the members of Wild Daddy Gang stared at each other and scanned their surroundings. Yi Shuihan had actually disappeared as well. "Boss, I think I saw him enter the forest and chase after Qin Hao," someone said carefully. "What?" Yan Wanshan glared. He was so angry. Another traitor. You said you would be the scapegoat. How could you run away just like that? Yi Shuihan was also a shameless guy. Since Yi Shuihan took the initiative to enter the poisonous forest, he will most likely be poisoned to death. That will save us some trouble, De Mao reminded. While speaking, he glanced at the 7 or 8 black tiger corpses on the ground. The beast soul of the Xian beast hadn't been absorbed yet. It could be considered a blessing in disguise. At least it could upgrade the imprints of a few gang members. Moreover, Qin Hao had just killed a person. It didn't matter if he didn't look. After a glance, De Mao let out a shocking shout, "Axe Gang, F***CK your ancestors." Du Ziding was leading the members of Axe Gang to absorb the beast souls of the Xian beast on the ground. They had already absorbed 5 beasts. Even the imprint of the Wild Daddy Gang member killed by Qin Hao had disappeared. "Brothers, let's kill those shameless bastards of the Axe Gang for me." Yan Wanshan let out a blood-sobbing roar. He raised his axe high and chopped at Du Ziding's head. Not to mention that he was tricked by Qin Hao. Now, the Axe Gang was also taking advantage of the situation. Immediately, the fierce battle between the two gangs unfolded in the forest. The sky was dark and the earth was dark. 3 miles away from the miasma forest, Qin Hao was naked, sitting cross-legged on the ground. His face was covered with a layer of blue light. Obviously, he was poisoned. At the moment, he was expelling the poison with his primordial qi. As time went by, the blue light on his face became fainter and fainter. Finally, all the poison was expelled from his body. Qin Hao's space ring flashed. He took out 2 cleansing powder and swallowed it, just in case. The miasma in the forest was really fierce. After entering, Qin Hao formed a primordial qi shield around his body with the dragon whirlpool skill. In just a few breaths, the primordial qi shield was corroded by the poisonous gas. At that moment, he took out the cleansing powder without hesitation and stuffed 2 cleansing powder into Nalan Li's mouth. He used the water wind steps desperately and was accidentally poisoned. Fortunately, Qin Hao practiced the immortal samsara technique. His physique was several times stronger than that of an ordinary yuan, so the poison was not serious. Qin Hao turned around to take a look. Seeing that there was no movement, Qin Hao calmed down. Wild Daddy Gang had a lot of people. If they did not speed up, he and Nalan Li would be in danger. At the moment, Nalan Li was hiding far away from Qin Hao. The fear on her face had not subsided. Yan Wanshan and Du Ziding's hiding made her feel that people were sinister. Although Qin Hao saved her, he might have coveted the mark on her arm and Nalan Li's beauty. Nalan Li had to guard against Qin Hao. Don't be afraid. If you want to leave, I won't stop you. Qin Hao took out the jade skin ointment and applied it on his back. During the Four-Nation tournament, in order to protect Yuningshang, his back was beaten to a bloody pulp by Old Man Ouyang. It had just healed a few days ago, but now it had split open again. Are you really willing to let me go? Nalan Li did not care about Qin Hao's injuries. Even though she knew that Qin Hao had purposely suffered the aftermath of the attack to protect her. Qin Hao did not answer and continued to apply the ointment. Seeing this, Nalan Li carefully swallowed her saliva and tried to escape from Qin Hao's range. In the end, she managed to run 20 meters away. Qin Hao did not chase after her. You may be a good person, but I don't trust you. If you can return to Qiyang University alive, I will ask my sister to thank you. Let me tell you, my sister is very powerful. Nalan Li shouted at Qin Hao from afar. She pouted and disappeared into the bushes. Ha ha! Qin Hao smiled faintly and did not mind. He could understand Nalan Li's heartlessness. After all, that girl was too naive and had been frightened just now. It was reasonable that she did not trust Qin Hao. You followed me for so long? How long are you going to hide? Qin Hao stopped applying the jade skin ointment and looked coldly at a clump of grass nearby. You actually found out. With a helpless sigh, Yi Shuihan walked out with a cynical smile. He had taken advantage of the chaos just now to escape from the Wild Daddy Gang's control and sneaked into the forest. He had chased Qin Hao all the way here. Qin Hao sized up Yi Shuihan seriously. His intuition told him that this person was not simple. Qin Hao had personally experienced how strong the miasma in the forest was. Even the dragon whirlpool technique could not withstand it. Yi Shuihan crossed the miasma forest as if nothing had happened. What was even more unbelievable was that he could catch up with Qin Hao's water wind step. To put it bluntly, even Yan Wanshan could not catch up with Qin Hao's speed, but Yi Shuihan could. Chapter 264. Warehouse. Qin Hao subconsciously looked at Yi Shuihan's legs. Generally speaking, people with good body movement skills would have better legs than normal people. Qin Hao's legs were very good. Sweeping his gaze over, he saw that Yi Shuihan was as skinny as a wolf. His arms and legs were thin, and it was obvious that he was not someone who could endure hardships in cultivation. This disappointed Qin Hao. However, his shoes were very strange. There were spots of light floating on them, like fireflies that had not completely dissipated. Seeing this, Qin Hao understood. Yi Shuihan was able to catch up not because of his own strength, but because of his shoes. His shoes should be a pretty good artifact. The material was probably not inferior to a high-grade refined weapon. We're all men. What's the point of staring at my legs? Yi Shuihan instinctively clamped his legs together. When Qin Hao glanced at him, he felt a chill in his crotch. Could it be that Qin Hao had some weird fetishes? Could it be that he was straight? Could it be that he had done something immoral to her? This guess made Yi Shuihan panic. This young master has a graceful bearing and handsome appearance. Even if someone were to do that to me, it would have to be done by a beauty. To fall into Qin Hao's hands, the heavens must be blind. Your shoes aren't bad, Qin Hao said indifferently. His words made Yi Shuihan heave a sigh of relief. It seemed that Qin Hao was a normal person. But then Yi Shuihan became nervous again. He took a few steps back and warned her with his eyes, "Don't even think about my shoes. The size of the shoes is tailor-made for me. It's useless even if you wear it." Qin Hao curled his lips in disdain. "Who wants your smelly shoes? Only when one's body was strong would they be strong." External objects could only be used as support, but they were definitely not a long-term solution. Qin Hao's water-wind steps. "Who knows how many pairs of broken shoes you have? Who cares?" He then asked, "What is your purpose in following me?" Yi Shuihan's pursuit of Qin Hao was definitely not simple. "Ahem. I see that you have a calm mind, a strong body, and a chivalrous demeanor. I don't want to listen to nonsense." Qin Hao narrowed his eyes and put on his green robe. He had no time to talk nonsense with Yi Shuihan. The competition was still ongoing. "You're really rude. Well, in fact, if I don't follow you, who else can I follow?" Yi Shuihan shrugged. He was also speechless. After the competition started, all the contestants were as hungry as wild dogs. They risked their lives to snatch other people's marks. If they stayed in the Wild Daddy gang, they would be killed by Yan Wanshan sooner or later. Although he did not like Qin Hao very much, Yi Shuihan had no choice. No matter how sullen he was, he had to hug Qin Hao's thigh. "I can only survive if I follow you. If I follow you, I won't be killed by others. You're stronger than me. I have to follow you." "I'm not a fool," Yi Shuihan said helplessly. Qin Hao was stunned. He could not refute? Other than the Wild Daddy gang, you can join other organizations. There's no need to choose me. It's the same with anyone. I'll be killed by them sooner or later. Look at me. I don't even have the ability to protect myself. Although you're not honest, at least you're more reliable than others. Moreover, you're quite a cunning person. I won't be at a disadvantage if I follow you." Yi Shuihan was indeed not a fool. He rolled his eyes a few times. From Qin Hao's action of saving Nalanli, he could see that Qin Hao was not a bad person. "I might save others, but I might not save you. Moreover, your shoes are really good. I'm very tempted." Qin Hao pretended to be hungry. He stood up and approached Yi Shuihan. His gaze was similar to Yan Wanshan's when he saw Nalanli. He even drooled a few times. Nalanli's thoughts were pure. Qin Hao went to save her. How could Yi Shuihan be compared to Nalanli? "What do you want? Don't blame me for not warning you. If I die, it won't be good for anyone." Yi Shuihan cautiously retreated. The light spots on his shoes became more intense. As long as Qin Hao made a move, he would definitely run away like a rabbit. He really did not expect Qin Hao to be a guy who was blinded by greed. He really misjudged him. "If you die, it won't be good for anyone? Save it." This sentence can't even fool Yan Wanshan. How can it fool me? Qin Hao was really speechless. Yi Shuihan could not find another reason. It was as if he died, the sky of the Luoshui Empire would collapse. "How about this? As long as you don't do anything to me, I can give you benefit. My request is very simple. If you protect me, I will be responsible for giving you benefit. Bring me safely to Qiyang University. Now." As Qin Hao closed in step by step, Yi Shuihan's head began to sweat. He had seen Qin Hao's speed. He ran faster than a rabbit. He did not think that he had the ability to escape Qin Hao's pursuit. In order to survive, he could only use his own money to fill Qin Hao's stomach first. "Benefits?" Qin Hao chuckled. "That depends on how many benefits there are. How big are they? Are they better than your shoes?" Qin Hao was just scaring the other party. Yi Shuihan actually took the initiative to give him treasures. Then I'm really sorry. They're definitely better than my shoes. Look, Yi Shuihan's fingers inexplicably flashed. A few black pellets appeared in his palm. Qin Hao's eyes widened. A spatial artifact. And just like him, it was also a ring. From this, it could be seen that Yi Shuihan was not cheap. His ring was of a much higher grade than the other participants' sumaru pouches. What made Qin Hao look down on Yi Shuihan was that the treasures were actually thunderfire pellets. The ancestor of thunderfire pellets was Qin Hao. To be honest, he was not interested, even though Yi Shuihan's thunderfire pellets were of good quality. Don't worry, I have more. Look, with a whoosh, Yi Shuihan took out a sword. This sword is a high-grade refined weapon. It can kill people as easily as slaughtering pigs. I'll give it to you. How can you not have a weapon when you're my guard? This sword is passable. Qin Hao nodded. A high-grade refined weapon was not bad. But it was still not enough to enter Qin Hao's eyes. Qin Hao had low-grade lethal weapons, the purple meteorite sword and the overturning person seal. Don't worry, I still have more. Look, Yi Shuihan was afraid that Qin Hao would suddenly kill him, so he quickly took out an elixir. When he took out the elixir, his heart was bleeding. He kept the elixir for himself. A Xianyuan elixir? Qin Hao's eyes flashed with surprise. The elixir that Yi Shuihan took out this time really surprised him. A Xianyuan elixir was a third-grade high-grade elixir that could raise the strength of a Yuan master. It was very precious to Yuan masters. If Qin Hao took it, he could break through from a 4-star Yuan master to a 5-star Yuan master. How is it? A thunderfire pellet, a high-grade refined weapon, and a Xianyuan elixir. Are you excited? Are you excited? Are you so happy that you are bubbling in your heart? That's why I said that if I die, no one will benefit. If I live, it will be a good fortune for you. Yi Shuihan raised his head proudly. He saw a flash of surprise on Qin Hao's face. He thought that these things were enough to make Qin Hao work for him. Yes, this young master is quite smart. It's enough to keep you alive, but unfortunately, it's not enough to keep you by my side. Leave the elixir and go. Qin Hao decided to trick Yi Shuihan again. Yi Shuihan definitely had more in his spatial ring. He waved his hand and let Yi Shuihan leave. But you have to leave the elixir behind. How can you be like this? How can you be so unreasonable? Do you have any morals? I, young Master Yi, am bullied by dogs. I have such a noble status. It's your good fortune to know me. How can you chase me away? Yi Shuihan felt aggrieved and wronged. He had handed over the elixir. He had given him all the benefits. But you didn't protect me. Chapter 265. Forced upgrade. Don't worry, I still have more. If 1 isn't enough, I'll give you 2. If 2 isn't enough, I'll give you 3. I'll give them all to you. Look, I have. Yi Shuihan left unwillingly. He had already invested in Qin Hao. How could he give up halfway? With a wave of his hand, a single 2, 3, 4. Qin Hao's eyes widened at the sight of the pills popping out of his hand. Yi Shuihan was like a living warehouse. He had as much as he wanted. Moreover, it was not just the primordial spirit pill. There were all kinds of pills. He placed them on the ground like a small mountain, as if drinking cold water. In fact, Qin Hao even found a grade 4 Dragon Grandmaster pill among the pills that he had accumulated. The Dragon Sect Elixir was an elixir used by Sky Origin Grandmasters. It was priceless. He had really underestimated Yi Shuihan. On the other side, while Yi Shuihan was digging, he mumbled that Qin Hao's realm was too low, and that he would run away as soon as he saw Yan Wanshan. Obviously, he despised Qin Hao's strength. Actually, it wasn't wrong. Qin Hao wasn't a match for a 9-star Pinnacle Master Yuan in a head-on confrontation. Therefore, Yi Shuihan wanted Qin Hao to level up. If Qin Hao leveled up, Yi Shuihan would be safer. Now that Qin Hao had leveled up, Yi Shuihan could act arrogantly in front of others. Only after Qin Hao had leveled up would Yi Shuihan be able to snatch someone else's mark through the competition and become a student of Qiyang University. In fact, if they could snatch more seals together, they could even become outstanding disciples together. In short, Yi Shuihan was in charge of helping Qin Hao level up, while Qin Hao was in charge of fighting. As long as Qin Hao was powerful, no one would dare to mess with Yi Shuihan at Qiyang University. He would be able to enjoy all the preferential treatment. This was simply too wonderful. Don't, I was just joking with you. Qin Hao's eyes were almost blurred, and he hurriedly stopped the other party. On the other hand, Yi Shuihan did not seem to have any intention of stopping. His hands continued to dig. If Qin Hao really ate this pile of stuff, it was very likely that he would be able to break through to the Sky Origin Ancestor realm. Unfortunately, Qin Hao would not be able to digest it in a short period of time. You can eat to your heart's content. I'll pay for everything you eat. Of course, you have to guarantee my safety. My death will do no one any good. It's your good fortune that I'm still alive. Your strength is too trashy. Hurry up and level up and kill Yan Wanshan. That son of a bitch wants to use me as a scapegoat. He must be tired of living. Yi Shuihan was sweating profusely. He still hadn't forgotten about Yan Wanshan's revenge. As for Qin Hao's joke? Sorry, young master, Yi never jokes with people. He didn't think that Qin Hao was joking. If he couldn't satisfy Qin Hao, Yi Shuihan believed that he would definitely die. The human heart was too sinister. Young Master Yi had seen through it long ago. Qin Hao rolled his eyes. In fact, he was very surprised and even shocked. Yi Shuihan really had a lot of treasures. However, he wouldn't be willing to be Yi Shuihan's lackey just because of these things. After all, once Qin Hao's strength increased, he would be able to refine pills himself. All right. Seeing that he couldn't refuse, Qin Hao could only accept it. This kind of feeling of being forced to level up, of being forced to eat pills, awesome. To be honest, Qin Hao had indeed increased his strength. Yan Wanshan was just a small fry. On the platform, there were a few people whose strength had reached the Sky Origin Ancestor realm. Among them, there was a young man in black who made Qin Hao feel a little apprehensive. Moreover, there was more than one platform. There were a total of 5 platforms participating in the competition. If he wanted to pass the competition and gain a foothold in Qiyang University's outer sect, he had to increase his strength quickly. Immediately, Qin Hao sat down in front of the small mountain of pills that Yi Shuihan had placed on the table. He picked up a Xianyuan pill and threw it into his mouth. Yes, the grade of the pill was good, but the quality was mediocre. If Qin Hao were to refine it, the effect would at least be doubled. Buzz. A layer of green light spread out from his body. Oh my! I leveled up. Sorry, the leveling up seemed a little too easy. Pick up another pill. Buzz. Peak 5-star master. 6-star master. Peak 6-star master. Peak 6-star master. Buzz. Sorry, I'm a 7-star master now. It was also at this moment that Qin Hao stopped swallowing the pills. He rolled up his sleeves and put the small mountain in front of him into his space ring. The feeling of being forced. There was no justice in this world. Qin Hao's cultivation level had increased, so naturally, his cultivation technique had to be upgraded as well. He closed his eyes and began to cultivate the Dragon Vortex technique. Yi Shuihan squatted at the side and hid his hands in his sleeves. He stared at Qin Hao with shifty eyes. He nodded and shook his head at times. His heart ached. After all, he had lost 1% of his pills. These pills were hard to come by. Alright, it was easy to come by. Someone had forced them on him before the competition started. He had to take them even if he didn't want them. Thousands of pills could make Yi Shuihan a sage. Unfortunately, no matter how much he ate, his strength didn't increase at all. Now, it was all in Qin Hao's hands. Yi Xuehan was really unhappy with Qin Hao. He felt that Qin Hao was very sinister and even dangerous. However, he couldn't find fault with him. Therefore, he felt very vexed. 4 hours later, a wisp of faint white gas was slowly exhaled from his mouth. Qin Hao opened his eyes and a sharp light flashed in his eyes. This glance also made Yi Xuehan, who was beside him, shudder. He could feel that Qin Hao's strength had increased by a lot. He subconsciously covered his space ring and wiped his shoes. You don't have to be afraid. I won't do anything to you. If I really want to attack, you won't be able to escape. Qin Hao chuckled. Yi Xuehan, this big idiot, was quite fun. Now, the Dragon Vortex technique had successfully reached the 7th level, which was the same as Qin Hao's 7-star Yuan Master Realm. If he met Yan Wanshan again, even if he didn't use the purple meteorite sword and the overturning person seal, Qin Hao's golden finger was enough to take his life. However, if he met Yuan Zong, the outcome would be hard to predict. After all, there was a qualitative leap between Yuan Zong and Yuan Master. Blue Yuan Qi was much stronger than green Yuan Qi. I have to keep my word. If I die, it won't be good for anyone. Only I'm alive. You being alive is my fortune, right? Qin Hao rolled his eyes. Please change your words. His ears were about to grow calluses. Don't worry. Since you helped me increase my strength, I naturally won't treat you badly. Bringing along Yi Xuehan was a burden. It was obviously an unwise move. If he was surrounded by dozens of people, Qin Hao would be in danger. However, seeing that the other party was so pitiful, sigh. I'll protect him for the time being. I'm afraid he will force me to eat pills in the future. This feeling of being forced by others, it was intolerable. I'm very curious. You have so many pills. Why don't you increase your strength? Qin Hao asked. Because, Yi Xuehan silently lowered his head and pursed his lips. Because I'm too powerful. Pills are useless. Since I'm so powerful, wouldn't it be a waste to eat them? Sigh, I can only blame myself for being too powerful. In fact, Yi Xuehan himself didn't know what was going on. No matter what, his strength couldn't be increased with pills. Currently, he was only a 2-star Yuan Master. In front of the champions of the various countries' martial arts competitions, he was as weak as a pile of dung. He couldn't protect himself at all. His pills had been secretly sent to him by someone, and he didn't even know who had sent them. He had also secretly studied himself and wondered why pills didn't have any effect on him. The results of the study should be related to his physique. It seemed that someone had placed some restriction on him. Chapter 266. Brother Hao, are you tired? Since Yi Xuehan was shackled by restrictions, and someone had secretly delivered pills to Yi Xuehan. Yi Xuehan guessed that he must have been the one to send the pills out. For example, to let the guards around him eat them. Look at how smart I am. Qin Hao did not say anything else. Seeing how hesitant Yi Xuehan was, Qin Hao guessed that he was hiding a lot of secret. The two of them were not close, so there was no need to be considerate of each other. Right now, they were merely in a cooperative relationship. Yi Xuehan was in charge of forcing Qin Hao to level up, while Qin Hao was in charge of robbing. It was that simple. I'll take you through the exams safely. At the very least, I'll make you an ordinary student of Qiyang University. But you'll have to listen to everything I say, Qin Hao said. Yi Xuehan was a very arrogant person, so he had to set some rules with him first. You ate my pills, so why should I listen to you? Yi Xuehan glared at him. This was too unreasonable. Did he have any sense of civility? You're too powerful. Since you're so powerful, you have to listen to me. Qin Hao stood up, patted his butt and walked away on his own. All right, I'll listen to you. Yi Shuihan gritted his teeth and obediently followed beside Qin Hao like a follower. He felt very unhappy, but there was nothing he could do. Who asked him to be so powerful? Just you wait, kid. One day, you'll be proud of yourself. Yi Shuihan rubbed his sullen face. He, the great young master Yi, actually listened to the orders of a little ruffian like Qin Hao. He sighed with grief and indignation in his heart. This day would forever be Yi Shuihan's shame. This day would forever be Qin Hao's pride. This was because Yi Shuihan felt that the restriction on his body would be broken sooner or later. At that time, he would become the true overlord of the world. However, he was once Qin Hao's underling. But in reality, when Qin Hao took back Daqin, Yi Shuihan was the one who became the most arrogant. Because he was Denda's underling. Without saying a word, the two of them walked for a long time. When Qin Hao stopped and cautiously hid behind a big tree, Yi Shuihan also quickly pulled up his pants and hid behind him, asking, "What's wrong? There's more than one Xian beast up ahead." Qin Hao's nose was very sensitive. Hundreds of millions of medicinal herbs could be clearly distinguished with just a sniff. Even the weight of each herb would not be wrong. Therefore, they could smell the scent of wild beasts from far away, even if the beast was hiding very well. "Are you trying to scare me? Do you think I believe that?" Yi Shuihan pursed his lips. Qin Hao was too arrogant. If Qin Hao really had such a magical power, the Wild Daddy Gang would not have lost so many people after entering the forest, and they would not have been ambushed by the Axe Gang. But at this moment, Qin Hao gave Yi Shuihan a slap in the face with his action. He bent down and picked up a stone, whoosh. Qin Hao threw the stone with all his strength, and it turned into a ray of light and flew 100 meters away. Suddenly, there was a powerful roar, and a strong bison came out of the grass. The bison's eyes were red. Obviously, it was hit by Qin Hao's stone. However, at this moment, not only the bison came out, but also a black python. Yi Shuihan had seen this black python before. When the Wild Daddy Gang had just entered the forest, one of their members had been swept away by the black python in front of him. Although it was not the same python, it was the same kind. Yi Shuihan remembered clearly that the black python had broken the bones of the 7-star Yuan master, and he could not fight back. Now, he and Qin Hao were probably going to suffer. "Run!" Yi Shuihan was so scared that his face turned pale. Without another word, his shoes flashed, and he ran away. As he ran, he did not forget to grab Qin Hao. It was not that Yi Shuihan was being kind, but he had invested a lot of pills in Qin Hao. If Qin Hao died, it would be a huge loss. "Run my ass!" Qin Hao pushed Yi Shuihan's hand away and rushed forward like an arrow. This move scared Yi Shuihan so much that his face turned pale. Did Qin Hao want to die? How dare he rush toward the bison and black ray? It seemed that he wanted to kill the two Xian beasts at the same time. He was risking his life. Yi Shuihan regretted it. He regretted nurturing Qin Hao. His heart ached too much for his pills. Swoosh! Swoosh! 2 rays of light shot out from Qin Hao's fingers. One shot toward the beast's heart, and the other shot toward the black python's weak spot. These 2 Xian beasts were both 8th grade. The bison had thick skin and astonishing defense. Even an ordinary 8-star Yuan master was no match for it. The black python was agile. How could it be hit by a mere ray of light? In Yi Shuihan's opinion, Qin Hao was no different from courting death. He shook his head, put his hands behind his back, and left. Qin Hao was most likely done for, so he had to find someone else to work with. Thump! Thump! 2 consecutive thumps rang out. The sound was so loud that the ground shook. Yi Shuihan subconsciously stopped in his tracks, and turned around to take a look. At this moment, a creaking sound came from his neck. His eyes were even bigger than Godan's, and his mouth was wide open like a toad's. The black python that was as thick as his waist was like a black dragon that had been killed. Qin Hao's beam of light penetrated through 7 feet without any hindrance. That curled-up body instantly became like a deflated balloon, falling limply to the ground. Even more shocking was that the beast with strong defense couldn't withstand Qin Hao's finger. That finger pierced through the bison's body like an arrow. It let out a deafening roar before finally falling to the ground with a loud thud. Qin Hao, a mere 7-star Yuan master, killed 2 8th-grade Xian beasts in a single blow. These were 8th-grade Xian beasts. They were like pigs that had been slaughtered. Qin Hao didn't even use a weapon. Yi Shuihan was stunned by this scene. It was simply unbelievable. Then, his eyes lit up. Saliva dripped from the corner of his mouth as he rubbed his hands excitedly. Qin Hao was stronger than he'd imagined. Yi Shuihan felt like he'd picked up a treasure. What are you waiting for? Attract the beast's soul. Qin Hao turned around and said coldly. His mark had been upgraded to the 3rd stage, which was enough for him to become an ordinary student of Qiyang University. Yi Shuihan, on the other hand, was still a pitiful 1-stage mark. Oh, I'm coming. Yi Shuihan wiped away the saliva in his mouth. His body trembled with excitement as he walked over to the beast and Black Ray. He aimed his arm at the corpse. There was a flash of light. His mark had been upgraded from the 1st stage to the 2nd stage. Ha! Young Master Ye's mark has been upgraded. I have to say, little Hao, you've made me look at you in a new light. I'm starting to admire you. But don't be too proud. This is all thanks to my pills. You have to keep working hard. Yi Shuihan raised his arm proudly in front of Qin Hao. It was as if the person who killed the black python and the bison was not Qin Hao, but Yi Shuihan. Okay. It's all thanks to you, young Master Yi. Since you're so powerful, I don't think you need to absorb the mark anymore. Qin Hao crouched down, dug out the black python and the bison's inner cores, and walked forward again. Don't be so stingy. I just said a few words. In fact, my admiration for Brother Hao is endless. Brother Hao, are you tired? Let me massage your legs for you. Are you sleepy? Let me massage your shoulders for you. Do you have enough pills? Do you want Han to help you replenish some? Yi Shuihan followed behind Qin Hao, nodding and bowing, and started to flatter him indiscriminately. If he wanted to upgrade his mark, it would depend on Qin Hao's mood. Whether he would be bullied by others in the academy in the future would depend on Qin Hao's mood. Even if Yi Shuihan became an outstanding disciple or an ordinary disciple, it would still depend on Qin Hao's mood. If Qin Hao was in a bad mood, Yi Shuihan would be completely ruined. Therefore, he had to please Qin Hao. Chapter 267. Sunset Archery. For 5 days in a row, under Qin Hao's struggle, Yi Shuihan greedily absorbed the Xian beast's soul. The two of them ran amok in the forest without any fear. Wherever he passed, no one could stop him. Whether it was a trap or a poisonous gas, they had all fallen into someone else's trap. With Qin Hao's rich experience, the two of them moved through the cruel forest like they were on a scenic tour. Gradually, Yi Shuihan looked at Qin Hao with admiration. Then, it gradually changed from admiration to admiration. Qin Hao's endless means, swift and fierce moves, and ever-changing thinking were all incomparably flexible. Yi Shuihan's gaze became even more fervent as he watched his mark level up. Vaguely, he couldn't help but admire Qin Hao. Especially when Qin Hao killed a demonic beast. At that moment, Yi Shuihan almost knelt down in front of him. Oh heavens, oh earth, what kind of freak did young Master Yi follow? Qin Hao, a mere 7-star Yuan master, had killed a demonic beast that was comparable to Yuan master. He was not a human, he was a demon, he was a devil, he was a heroic god sent by God, he was the idol of men, the lover of young girls, and the good husband of the nation. Now Yi Shuihan's mark had risen to the 5th level. With a little more effort, he could become an outstanding outer disciple of Qiyang University. As for Qin Hao, naturally, he already had a 6-segment mark. Brother Hao, come on, I'll rub your legs. I'm good at it. In the middle of the forest, Qin Hao leaned against a big tree and closed his eyes to rest, recovering some of his combat state. He wasn't tired at all. With the help of Yi Shuihan's large amounts of pills, it wouldn't be a problem for him to fight for 3 days and 3 nights. It was just that he was numb from all the killing. When he killed that demonic beast yesterday, Qin Hao had suffered some light injuries. Yi Shuihan squatted down and reached out his evil hands, starting to rub Qin Hao's legs. He had a beaming smile on his face, and his well-behaved appearance was like a young wife who had just married into the family. He was as obedient as he could be. Under the awe of Qin Hao's martial prowess, Yi Shuihan completely degenerated from the dignified young Master Yi to a servant. He was willing to massage Qin Hao's legs. He felt that it was natural. After all, old Hao was fighting for everyone. It was too tiring. In another 4 days we'll be able to pass through the forest. During this time, I'll try to raise your mark to around the 7th level. Qin Hao closed his eyes. His clothes were tattered and there were bloodstains on his body. Some of the bloodstains had not dried yet. He had been through many bloody battles. The difficulty of upgrading the imprint was far more difficult than Qin Hao had imagined. Raising it from the 1st level to the 2nd level was easy. As the mark increased, more beast souls were needed. After reaching the 6th level, without hundreds of high-level Xian beast souls, it was almost impossible to raise it any further. At this moment, Qin Hao finally understood how unattainable Old Man Huang's 9-segment mark of a core disciple was. Not to mention that above the 9th stage there was still the 10th stage. Just as Old Man Huang had said, that was an impossible thing. Qin Hao guessed that unless he killed a saint beast and absorbed its saint soul, otherwise, his mark would never reach the 9th or 10th level. With Qin Hao's current cultivation, killing a saint beast was no different from suicide. If he couldn't do it, no one else could either. So, he couldn't steal the 9th level mark from someone else. If he really met someone with a 9th level mark, he'd just let them go. Because they were likely to be saints. At present, Qin Hao and Yi Shuihan had passed through most of the forest. At this speed, they could reach the spiritual array within 4 days. 4 days was the deadline for the competition. Looking up into the distance, Yi Shuihan put on a smile again and continued to massage Qin Hao's legs. His eyes intentionally or unintentionally glanced at a bough beside Qin Hao. His eyes were filled with awe and even a trace of fear. This bough was glowing red and faintly emitting fire. Its quality had reached the level of a high-grade refined weapon. It was this bough that allowed Qin Hao to successfully kill that demon beast. At that time, Qin Hao was hiding in the dark and shot 3 arrows in a row. The arrows were wrapped in flames, and with an unstoppable momentum, nailed into the demon beast's vital points. Qin Hao then took the opportunity to cut off the demon beast's head. Although it was disgraceful to hide in the dark, Yi Shuihan admired Qin Hao's amazing archery. He swore that he had never seen such powerful and accurate archery from anyone before. Not to mention the speed of Qin Hao's arrows. Like a string of pearls, he shot 3 arrows quickly. Brother Hao, your bow is good. Are you interested in teaching me archery? Yi Shuihan had a trace of respect on his face. His strength was low, and if he fought with others head-on, he was likely to be abused. He felt that he should hide in the dark and shoot arrows. This was in line with young Master Ye's gentleman's style. He must learn Qin Hao's archery. At this moment, in addition to respect, Yi Shuihan's eyes also had a trace of envy. Originally, he thought that Qin Hao was a poor man who did not have a decent weapon. He was really too poor. But this bow gave him a hard slap in the face. Qin Hao had a sharp weapon. In this regard, Qin Hao smiled. This bow was found in Old Man Ouyang's Sumeru pouch. The material was indeed a high-grade sharp weapon, but it was inferior to the purple meteorite sword and the overturning person seal. Most of the Yuan practitioners despised people who used bows and arrows, thinking that it was disgraceful to shoot people in the dark. Therefore, there were very few people who used bows. Naturally, bows and arrows were not so important compared to swords, spears, swords, and halberds. In fact, to be able to find a high-grade sharp weapon, bow and arrow, Qin Hao was very satisfied. When he shot the demon beast that day, Qin Hao used the sunset archery from his previous life. The sunset archery was created by an ancient god, Ho-I, and Qin Hao was lucky to find it. It was said that when practiced to the extreme, one could shoot down the sun. Based on this archery, Qin Hao made a sunset bow in his previous life. With 300 years of cultivation, he nurtured the sunset bow day and night, and it became a semi-god weapon. The hateful thing was that the sunset bow was cheated by Zhan Wu. After taking the sunset bow, Zhan Wu shamelessly changed his name to Sunset Warlord and occupied Qin Hao's sacred cultivation place, Sunset Peak. You want to learn my archery? Save it, after all, you are already so powerful. It was impossible for Qin Hao to teach Yi Shuihan the sunset archery. Not to mention Yi Shuihan, even Zhan Wu in his previous life did not know how to do it. The sunset archery's lethality was extremely high, and its penetrating power was extremely fierce. It was on the same level as Golden Finger and Graceful Sword, and was also a high-grade heaven-level technique. But the sunset archery was not perfect. Qin Hao guessed that it should have been a divine-level technique. It had been too long since the ancient times, and when he found it, it was already incomplete. If Qin Hao had the ability to repair the sunset archery, its power would probably increase by more than one level. Getting up, Qin Hao picked up the bow and continued on his way. Time was of the essence. Both his and Yi Shuihan's imprints needed to be upgraded. But the only person who did the work was Qin Hao. Yi Shuihan was indeed a burden. Qin Hao had to race against time. Yi Shuihan was a little disappointed, but he obediently followed behind Qin Hao. But in his heart, he had already secretly decided that he must learn Qin Hao's sunset archery. This was his only chance to make a name for himself. After taking a few steps, he heard a commotion in front of him. Among the noise, there was a man's roar and a little girl's helpless crying. The crying was very familiar, as if he had heard it somewhere before. Chapter 268. My Sweet Little Baby. Qin Hao couldn't remember wrongly. The clear crying sound belonged to the little lowly he met a few days ago. Especially the roars of those few men, it was the voices of Yan Wanshan and Du Ziding. He would not remember wrongly. Could it be? Nalanli had fallen into the hands of the Wild Daddy Gang and the Axe Gang? Boss, doesn't this voice sound like little sister Nalanli? Yi Shuihan's way of addressing Qin Hao had already become boss. He had been in the Wild Daddy Gang for a long time, so he could naturally distinguish Yan Wanshan's voice. He couldn't help but become nervous. Light spots appeared on his shoes, ready to run at any time. Less nonsense, follow behind me. Under the cover of the bushes, Qin Hao carefully approached with his bow and arrow. If it really was Nalanli, it would really make Qin Hao worried. Should he save her? Or not? If he saved her, she wouldn't appreciate it and said he was a bad guy. If he didn't save her, Qin Hao thought of Xiaogua when he saw those innocent big eyes. If Guadi was here, he would definitely choose to save her. Xiaogua's dream was to travel the entire continent, help the weak, and help the old granny cross the road. Hiding in the bushes, Qin Hao and Yi Shuihan looked forward. 20 meters away, a group of people was divided into two groups, pointing and cursing at each other. Some of them were waving their swords, as if they would stab their opponents to death at any time. The leaders were Yan Wanshan and Du Ziding. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. At this moment, Nalanli was tied to a tree. She was crying, her eyes red. The 3 segments of the mark on her arm had also disappeared. Obviously, it was stolen. Qin Hao guessed that Du Ziding must have stolen it. Otherwise, Yan Wanshan wouldn't have quarreled with Du Ziding. Run, you fell into the hands of bad guys again. Qin Hao shook his head. He couldn't help but find it funny. Nalanli was so innocent that it was a bit excessive. He scolded Qin Hao and ran away. Now that the imprint has been snatched away, are you happy now? Fortunately, only the imprint was stolen and not eaten by the Xian beast. Otherwise, she would never be able to find her sister. There wasn't even a corpse. Now that she was tied to the tree, her clothes were still clean. It seemed that the bastard Yan Wanshan didn't do anything to her. Qin Hao guessed that it was because Yan Wanshan was afraid of Nalanli's sister's strength. Otherwise, it was hard to guarantee that Nalanli would not lose her virginity. What do we do, boss? Let's run. Yi Shuihan appeared very nervous, and his hands began to sweat. It wasn't easy for him to escape from the Wild Daddy gang. He didn't want to be Yan Wanshan's scapegoat. Although the number of members of the Wild Daddy gang had decreased, the number of Axe gang members had also decreased. It was very likely that because of the fight, a portion of the 2 gangs had fought to the death. But in total, there were still more than 30. Yan Wanshan and Du Ziding were peak 9-star Yuan masters, and there were several 8-star Yuan masters under them. He and Qin Hao were only 2 people, and they were no match for 2 gangs. Although Qin Hao had leveled up and killed a demonic beast, Qin Hao's cultivation level was too low. That was because he was hiding behind the back and shooting arrows. It was absolutely impossible to save Nalanli from more than 30 Yuan masters again. Escape was Yi Shuihan's only choice. It was also the only chance to survive. One must know that he and Qin Hao were the traitors of the Wild Daddy gang. Although Yi Shuihan and Qin Hao had never regarded themselves as members of the Wild Daddy gang, the traitor hat had been placed on their heads. If they were caught by Yan Wanshan, they would definitely suffer a fate worse than death. They would suffer 108 kinds of torture. Qin Hao didn't answer. He looked forward, and his heart was in a struggle. Du Ziding, you dared to absorb Nalanli's imprint when I wasn't paying attention. Yan Wanshan glared and pointed at Du Ziding's nose. Deputy Leader Yan, know your place. You are now my deputy leader, and I am the leader. Do you have to be angry at me for absorbing a little girl's imprint? Wouldn't you be a joke to others? Du Ziding replied indifferently. A few days ago, they had absorbed the beast souls of 7 black tigers in front of the members of the Wild Daddy gang, and it had triggered a bloody battle. In addition, Nalanli had been kidnapped by Qin Hao's traitor, which had caused Yan Wanshan to go crazy and fight endlessly. In the end, both sides had suffered great losses. Both the Wild Daddy gang and the Axe gang had lost a lot of people. In order to protect themselves and not be swallowed by other gangs, Yan Wanshan and Du Ziding had decided to merge their gangs. The gang had a new name, and it was called the Father Axe Gang. Du Ziding was the leader, and Yan Wanshan was the deputy leader. But in fact, the Father Axe Gang was still divided into 2 factions. On the surface, they didn't attack each other, but they would cooperate when they were in danger. Fortunately, they had just finished robbing a group of people yesterday, and they had accidentally found Nalanli. What was even more fortunate was that Nalanli wasn't with Qin Hao. And Qin Hao, the stupid pig, hadn't absorbed Nalanli's imprint either. In the eyes of Yan Wanshan and Du Ziding, Qin Hao was really stupid. At that moment, Yan Wanshan cried tears of joy, and Du Ziding was moved to tears. The beloved little girl had fallen into their hands again. Heaven had eyes, and the imprint had returned. Sister Nalanli had been caught, and her sister couldn't run away either. This time, Qin Hao didn't come to snatch her away. What made Yan Wanshan angry was that Du Ziding had silently taken away Nalanli's imprint. He was the deputy leader of the Father Axe Gang, and Du Ziting didn't even discuss it with him. This made Yan Wanshan extremely unhappy. If you want to take it away, you have to let me do it. We had a deal beforehand. I will absorb Nalan Li's imprint, and she will belong to you. Is that wrong? As the leader, I have to take care of so many brothers. I paid so much to absorb a little imprint. Is it too much? Do you see the 3 moles on my face? This is the symbol of nobility, this is the sign of invincibility. I should enjoy it more, and I should be higher than you. If not, I wouldn't be your leader, and the moles wouldn't be on my face. Du Ziting said proudly. As he spoke, he pinched the black hair on the moles. His action made everyone sigh. Indeed, it was scary enough to have a coffin face. There were 3 moles on his face, and there was even a strand of hair on the moles. This was the sign of an extremely bad person. Du Ziting had the strength of a peak 9-star Yuan master, and he couldn't go against him. You win, but don't do it again. If you encounter such things in the future, you have to discuss it with me. Due to Du Ziting's strength, Yan Wanshan could only swallow his anger for now. Immediately, his lustful gaze landed on Nalan Li's tender face. Too tempting, too tender. He really wanted to take a bite. Yan Wanshan rubbed his big hands. He couldn't help but walk in front of Nalan Li. He crouched down on Xiongqua's body like a salivating bear. He put his face in front of Nalan Li and greedily inhaled the little loli's fragrance, showing an expression of enjoyment. Fragrant, so fragrant. Sister Xiao Li's body is too fragrant. My darling, you don't know how fragrant your sister is. I can't wait. Yan Wanshan had already started to fantasize. Bad guy, stay away from me. You have bad breath. Nalan Li cried and turned her face to the side. Crystal-clear tears fell down. The stench in Yan Wanshan's mouth made her feel disgusted. She regretted leaving Qin Hao. If she had stayed by Qin Hao's side, she wouldn't have been caught by these bad guys. She was too hungry. She hadn't eaten for a few days, and she didn't know how to cook. She couldn't catch some rabbits and roast them like the other contestants. She was prepared to steal some food to fill her stomach. Unfortunately, she was caught. She didn't expect to fall into the hands of Yan Wanshan and this group of hungry wolves. Chapter 269. Saving Nalan Li again. Although she felt that Qin Hao might not be sincere in saving her, he must have some ulterior motives. But at least, Qin Hao did not ruthlessly tie her to a tree, nor did he cruelly rob her of her mark. Without the mark, Nalan Li could not become a student of Qiyang University. She could not find her sister either. The more Nalan Li thought, the more her heart hurt, the more helpless her face became, and the more tears fell. Qin Hao would not come to save her again. "Io, don't cry, it makes my heart ache. Come, 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 let Brother Shan wipe your tears for you." Yan Wanshan pretended to be distressed, his pair of big hands touching Nalan Li's face, not knowing how to be gentle. His rough hands scratched Nalan Li's little face painfully. On the other hand, Yan Wanshan was laughing happily. The feeling of trampling on the little loli under his palm was too comfortable. He could play with her however he wanted. Looking at the distant Yan Wanshan amusing himself with Nalan Li, Qin Hao secretly tightened his grip on his bow and frowned. It was not that he did not want to save her. In fact, this time, it would not be as simple as the first time. It would be easy to kill Yan Wanshan. He only needed one arrow. The key was, if this arrow was shot, would Nalan Li be in danger? After all, there was still Du Ziting watching from the side. "Boss, don't be rash. Although I sympathize with Nalan Li, it is too risky to save her. Only a fool would save her, it is too stupid." Yi Shuihan whispered from the side. He was not related to Nalan Li. He would not risk his life to go against Yan Wanshan. Qin Hao was a traitor in Yan Wanshan's eyes. He was already very dangerous. If he ran out to save her a second time, it would anger him even more. "Sometimes I think I am stupid, but it is because of my stupidity that I am able to live until now, and that I know you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have given me any medicinal pills to eat, right? Qin Hao smiled faintly at Yi Shuihan. In other words, he would save Nalan Li a second time. In essence, Qin Hao was not a merciful Buddha who delivered all living beings from torment. If it was in his previous life, he would never do such a thankless task. The path of an emperor had always been cold-blooded and merciless. They always had to step on the bones of others to climb higher. But that was in his previous life. In this life, Qin Hao wanted to experience the coldness and warmth of the world and experience the true feelings of the world. If it wasn't for his stupidity, he wouldn't have known Melon Brother. If not for his stupidity, Chen Wanqin would not have a whole new level of respect for Qin Hao. In fact, if not for his stupidity, Yi Shuihan would never have chosen to work with Qin Hao. Because Qin Hao still had a conscience in his heart, he gave people a sense of reliance and made people feel at ease. Sai, it's up to you. Let me warn you first, I won't die with you. But if you die, I'll bury you immediately. Yi Shuihan shook his head helplessly. He still had too many unfulfilled wishes. He entered Qiyang University to unravel the mystery of his birth. He couldn't die. After interacting with Qin Hao for many days, he more or less understood him a little. Qin Hao was actually a very passionate person, but he pretended to be cold on the outside. Yi Shuihan didn't want Qin Hao to be in danger, because in his heart, he had silently regarded him as a friend. A true friend. And possibly his only friend. So, before you go to hell, hurry up and teach me archery. If you die, I will kill those bastards and avenge you. Also, give me your spatial ring as well. There are quite a few of my medicinal pills in there. Yi Shuihan extended his hand to Qin Hao. Scram! Qin Hao rolled his eyes. I won't die, and I won't teach you archery. And don't even think about running away. I can't save Nalan Li alone. Thump! Yi Shuihan's heart skipped a beat, and his face contorted. He felt like he had been betrayed by Qin Hao. He was a little unhappy. You can just go and die. Why do you have to drag me down with you? I'm so weak. I can't help you at all. Boss, look. There are shooting stars in the sky. Yi Shuihan pointed behind Qin Hao and immediately ran. He moved quickly, but Qin Hao moved even faster. He stretched out his big hand and grabbed Yi Shuihan's neck. Yi Shuihan's legs were lifted off the ground like a chicken. Yi Shuihan's legs left a pile of afterimages as he ran, but he was actually still in the same place. Shooting stars? Do you think I'm a 3-year-old kid? The shooting stars in the sky trick had long been played by Melonbro. How could Qin Hao fall for it? Boss, please let me off. I really can't help you at all. Look at my strength. I'm just a trashy 2-star Yuan master. Any random lackey from the Wild Father gang can stab me to death a few hundred times. Please take pity on me. Yi Shuihan cried. He had a helpless look on his face, hoping to get Qin Hao's sympathy. Your boots aren't bad. Ordinary lackeys aren't as fast as you. I promise you. If you save Nalan Li, I'll teach you my archery. Qin Hao drew in a deep breath. If he couldn't give Yi Shuihan some benefits, it was obvious that he wouldn't help. Really? Yi Shuihan immediately stopped crying. He also stopped running. His eyes shone with a golden light. Amen. Qin Hao nodded. Shooting an arrow and killing a bunch of people. Are you moved? Are you excited? Are you so happy that you're bubbling in your heart? That's why I said that only by following me would you be able to obtain good fortune. I understand, I understand. Tell me, who do you want me to deal with? I won't even frown. If you want me to go east, I won't dare to go west. Yi Shuihan nodded his head like a chick pecking at rice. Seeing this, Qin Hao put him down and pointed to the front. I'll shoot a bunch of people with random arrows and then rescue Nalan Li. When the time comes, you must catch her. Don't be negligent. Otherwise, you'll be consigned to eternal damnation. It's that simple. Yi Shuihan was stunned. He thought that Qin Hao would be like Yan Wanshan and use him as a scapegoat. Yi Shuihan even secretly activated the defense of his inner armor. He was wearing a good armor under his clothes. It was impenetrable. Who would have thought that Qin Hao would enter the wolf's den alone and rescue Nalanli from the hands of dozens of Yuan masters? Yi Shuihan's role was only to provide support. At this moment, Yi Shuihan was shocked by Qin Hao's crazy idea. While being impressed by Qin Hao's courage and boldness, he also felt that Qin Hao was indeed a reliable person. I promise to complete the mission, Yi Shuihan said seriously. Seeing this, Qin Hao didn't say anything else. His leopard-like eyes stared straight ahead. He secretly increased the power of the Dragon Whirlpool technique. The mottled green energy in his palm was ready to be released. He only had 10 arrows. The arrows and the bow were a set. They were also made of extraordinary materials. Unfortunately, the number was limited. It was only enough to kill 10 people. On the other hand, there were more than 30 Yuan masters. Each of them was powerful. It wasn't that easy to save someone. However, Qin Hao wasn't alone. He still had a dog. This dog was obviously not Yi Shuihan. It was the dog spirit hiding in the spatial ring. During the Four Nations martial arts tournament, the dog spirit had swallowed Old Man Ouyang's saint-level indecent object and advanced to the level 8 Xian beast. In the past few days, Qin Hao had thrown in all the inner cores of the Xian beast he had hunted into the spatial ring. They were all swallowed by the dog spirit. Now, the dog spirit's cultivation had reached the peak of the level 9 Xian beast. It was only stronger than Yan Wanshan. It was only a little bit away from advancing to the demonic beast level. Therefore, Qin Hao was confident that he could successfully rescue Nalanli a second time. If Nalanli were to be ravaged by them one after another, she would rather die. At this moment, Nalanli also became ferocious. She opened her small mouth and her sharp canine teeth sank deeply into the back of Yan Wanshan's hand. With one bite, Yan Wanshan howled in pain. "You dare to bite me? You shameless brat, it is your honor to serve me. You are asking for a beating." Yan Wanshan raised his large hand. That merciless palm brought with it a strong wind as it ruthlessly landed on Nalanli's face. This slap would definitely make Nalanli faint. Ha ha! This little brat is so fierce. Deputy leader can't be subdued. The fiercer she is, the more satisfying it is. Little brat, struggle a little more to satisfy our desires. The long line of Father Axe gang members were overjoyed. Their laughter became louder and louder. However, as an arrow flew over, the laughter stopped abruptly. Swoosh! With the sound of something breaking through the air, a red arrow flew out from the bushes. It turned into a red line and pierced through the first person's chest. This arrow was wrapped in a strong green energy, and there was fire inside. It was like a spinning drill. After it entered the enemy's body, the spinning force directly crushed the person's internal organs. After that, the speed of the arrow did not decrease. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. It pierced through the bodies of more than 10 people, all at the heart. After one arrow, the corpses fell into a pile. The sunset arrow technique was created by the ancient god Ho-Yi. Its penetrating power was shocking. At its peak, it could even destroy the sun. It would be an honor for these 7-star Yuan masters to die under the sunset archery art. Ambush. One had to admit that the reaction of the Father Axe gang members was pretty good. After all, they were all champions of the martial arts competition. As the first batch of people fell, without needing Yan Wanshan and Du Ziding's orders, the rest spread out and quickly found trees for cover. Qin Hao shook his head. It would be difficult to kill the Father Axe gang members. Even so, in this short period of time, 4 arrows appeared in Qin Hao's hands again. 4 red lines flashed like lightning. 4 unlucky fellows were too slow and were nailed to the trees by the sunset arrow. Qin Hao put away his bow and arrow. Using his water wind steps, he charged towards Nalan Li like a cheetah. It's you again. I want you to die without a burial place. As soon as Qin Hao's figure appeared, Yan Wanshan immediately recognized him. How could he not recognize Tian Sha's figure? It was Yan Wanshan who felt that Qin Hao's strength was extraordinary, so he kindly invited him to join the gang and took him in. Who would have known that Qin Hao was ambitious and dared to go against Yan Wanshan and stop him from bullying others? He deserved to die. Moreover, Qin Hao was a traitor of the Father Axe gang.